Hey, it's Hugh Hewitt, and when I want to know what's going on with the Cavs, the Browns, and the Tribe, I tune into Sports Fix.
Sports Fix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Catch every UFC pay-per-view live in full HD at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
I know you guys was at Harry Buffalo watching some March Madness, watching some brackets get busted while you enjoy a bison burger and doing the thing, man. It's not just UFC fights. This was a huge weekend. Harry Buffalo's all over the place. I was hearing from listeners in different places. It's funny because, Harry Buffalo's a national brand, but, specifically, we work with the one at the North Olmsted location here, although we know that there's the side benefit of the national reach. So it doesn't really, it's kind of the cool thing about what we do, and it makes it even better for them to work with us. But anyways, I'm getting hit up by people. Yeah, I'm at your Harry Buffalo, in Kenosha, Wisconsin or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's not my Harry Buffalo, but hey, go join the herd, man. Get your bison burger on. But man, Harry Buffaloes and sports bars and all of that filled this weekend with some absolutely amazing basketball action. We're going to talk about it. What a first weekend of the NCAA tournament. And, half of the tournament represented in one weekend. And what an amazing weekend it was. Upsets and brackets busted. And we know who's coming to Cleveland. And you know what? Listen. I never told you guys to listen to me about college basketball, man. I think I've got myself into it on a lot of things, man. We can talk football, and I'll get with the best of them, man. But my bracket's no better than anybody else's. I ended up with 9 out of the 16 Sweet 16 teams, which you could flip a coin, I think, and get close to. I don't know. That's a little more than half, but it's nothing. I'll tell you what. Mine's nothing special, but I was making fun of us all as a group on our Sports Fix Challenge the other day. You guys have risen to the occasion over this past weekend, and what is it, 11.7. We use the ESPN Tournament Challenge just to be the base that runs everything for us, and then we've got our own group, and there's thousands of groups where groups of people got together, they all put in their individual brackets, and then the whole group is also judged as a whole. We've got the Sports Fix in the mix with everybody else's groups, and so not only does the winner of our group get a prize pack, but I'm just kind of keeping track, and we were way down. We were bad. We were in like the 25,000th percentile or something like that after the first day. But man, after the first weekend, you guys rose to the occasion there as ended up with the top 3,500 in the country is the Sports Fix group as a whole, which when you realize millions and millions and millions, hey, that number's not that bad. But even more than that, the person who is number one in our Sports Fix Challenge, I haven't even done the intro yet, and I had to drop this right off the bat. Adam Spear, not only a listener of the Sports Fix, friend of the show, number one in our Sports Fix Tournament Challenge, but he just told me that the bracket that he entered into our challenge is currently ranked 691st in the entire country out of 11.75 million entries into the ESPN tournament bracket. Now, granted, we're only one weekend through, and there's still a whole lot of things that can happen, but man, when you look at Adam's bracket, next to it in the rankings, he's got 100% next to, not that he got 100% of them right, but based on everybody out there and the available permutations of how the bracket may go left. He is as high as can be with open possibility. It's amazing. I got to tell you, because that's 11.7 million. That's not 1,000. That's not 10,000. That's not even 1 million. That's 11 million. So you guys have really risen our group up. Hey, I'm just kind of malazing in the middle. I'm actually happy because after 2 days I was like dead last in this thing, and I've at least risen myself. I'm mucking in the middle ground there, kind of just happy to be around, but Adam representing, and hey, he's not the only one. I don't want to shortchange him. As I look up at the top, just behind him, we've got a couple of guys who are also right there so far in this thing. I mean, there's a handful of guys within 50 points or so of the top, but right at the top, Keith Vachon, you guys from the chat room, longtime listener of the show. I've got to give him credit. He is nipping up at Adam's heels here, just a few points behind, and his percentage also in the 99th percentile there for how many right. Both of those guys representing, and a few other guys. I'm not leaving you guys out, but wow, good stuff. And hey, Adam, again, props. I had to start the show and give it to you. Not only leading the Sports Fix Challenge through one weekend, but also 691st in the entire ESPN Tournament Challenge. And as I said, you guys have brought us up a bit here. We are ranked 3,500th out of all of the groups that are out there. And again, that's millions. So good job, you guys. Let's have some fun. We'll talk more about that as we get closer here. Well, matter of fact, I'm going to talk more about it now. Let me open the show. We'll get rolling. We're going to talk some college hoops. Cavs in action. We'll get rolling, open up the phone lines, get Dan Wismar in on the conversation. We've got Tribe to talk, Buckeyes in and out, all of that. Let's do it. You guys ready? I had to start giving my man some props right off the bat there, man. Not only leading, but representing across the nation. That is when I pulled it up last night about 2 o'clock in the morning, I was starting to do some show research for today, and I said, wow, that bracket is pretty high up there, man. I saw the 100% next to it, and I said, get out. Really? I believe he ended up nailing in the Sweet 16. He got, I'm not sure how many he got. By the way, there were only, I think, 14 or 17 brackets I saw that nailed even 14 of the 16 Sweet 16 teams. But a great job again by him. We'll talk some more about that here in a minute. Let's get going. It is the Sports Fix, my friends. Welcome in. Guys, maybe you're here for the first time. Maybe you joined the tournament challenge and you're like, hey, what's this radio show? They're going to be talking about it here. Maybe you've been here every day. Maybe you're here for the first time. This is the Sports Fix. I'm your host, the Big Daddy on the microphone. J-Rocc, Jerry Myers here each and every weekday at noon, live for the duration across the Sports Fix radio network. Maybe you're listening on TuneIn, TuneIn's radio app worldwide, on Spreaker and Mixler. There you go. Adam has 14, so he's in that grouping. That was actually one of the headlines that I got this morning about the number of people that got that many in the Sweet 16. Adam is one of that small group of people that nailed 14 of the 16 Sweet 16 matchups. Again, that says something. And you know what? This thing's that's why it's a tournament, and it's got to play itself out, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who have had amazing brackets right off the bat like that. But man, that's a great first weekend, and we'll see how it holds up for him. But yeah, I don't have it in front of me. I'll get it before when we hit the break. I'll pull it up. But I do believe it was just a handful, maybe 17 brackets that had 14 of the 16 Sweet 16 teams. Again, I'll check that out for you in just a minute, but we've got one of them, and he's going to be tough to beat, looking to win the Sports Fix Challenge. You guys, maybe you're listening live on Spreaker and Mixler and their respective digital and mobile applications. Maybe you're listening to the show live on our home base, thesportsfix.net. Make sure you bookmark it, by the way, thesportsfix.net. It's got all your replays. It's got the live show that comes right off the top of the show right there. You don't have to push any buttons. It broadcasts live. Everything you need, our social media widgets, it's all right there on thesportsfix.net. Make sure you bookmark it as well. Thanks to all of you listening 24 hours a day on digital delay around the world. Different time zones, area codes, and countries all over. Places like iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio service, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, CarPlay, all of the places that you guys download, subscribe, feed the show, however you guys do it. Thank you guys so much. As I say, without you guys, there is no show you are the voice of the Sports Fix, and be the voice of the Sports Fix. I'm going to open up the phone lines here right after the first break. 216-539-7535 is the number to call. 216-539-7535. Can't get through? Hit us up on Facebook and Twitter 24/7. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix. CLE. Email us, The Sports Fix at AOL.com. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix. CLE. Email us, The Sports Fix at AOL.com. And as I said, let's look at that tournament, talking about a crazy weekend. My bracket blown sky high several times. Although I hung on to a few. I did have Michigan State. I had a couple of shining moments, but it doesn't matter because my shining moment was blown up when my hand-picked successor, my hand-picked team of destiny. See, that's a curse for me. I thought for sure that the J-Rocc rock chalk knock off Kentucky. Nope, they didn't even make it out of the first 2 rounds of the tournament. Kansas is knocked off by Wichita State. Now, instead of advancing to take on what I thought was going to be a Kansas-Notre Dame matchup in the Sweet 16, instead, Notre Dame and Wichita State will do battle right here in Cleveland, as we now know who's coming here for the next section of the tournament. Kentucky and West Virginia. Hey, I had that one right. Valpo almost gave me my upset over Maryland. They fell short at the end. But anyways, UK and West Virginia and Notre Dame and Wichita State is going to be the 4 teams coming here to Cleveland this weekend. And then, of course, the 2 winners will advance. I had Kansas all the way through into the championship game. I had a Duke-Kansas championship game, and I'll tell you what, I was obviously wrong. I'm hanging on, though. I've got Duke winning the whole thing, so I can stay alive a little bit, and I do have North Carolina and Michigan State also keeping me alive. I did have Michigan State going all the way through I had them to the Final Four, and then last minute I switched over and I put Villanova over Michigan State. So unfortunately, I've lost 2/4 of my Final Four this weekend when Villanova went down as well. That one torched some people's brackets. I was actually doing well considering some of the upsets because I had some of the other upsets nailed, but unfortunately wasn't enough to balance things out there. So looking over there now as Villanova knocked down the Wolfpack. Here they go again. Survive and advance and one game at a time. Here goes NC State. They're now in the Sweet 16. They're going to meet Louisville, who knocked off Northern Iowa. I had Northern Iowa in that one, so I was wrong there. Oklahoma, Dayton again gave it a run. I thought maybe Dayton, it was too little too late for them at the end. Remember, I said I thought they were going to play from the play-in game all the way to the Sweet 16. They almost did. They gave number 3 Oklahoma a run, but Oklahoma advances through. They're going to take on Michigan State, who I did have beating Virginia there. I thought that was going to play out exactly the way it did. The tournament experience of Michigan State as a program always shines in tournament time, man, and you saw it once again. So on the opposite side there, those are the 2 that are going to meet with the winners taking on. You've got NC State and Louisville, Oklahoma, and Michigan State. Down at the other side, the only bracket that I got close to perfect was the West. I nailed most of that with the exception of a couple of first-round upsets. My whole Final Four coming out of that was right. I had Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Xavier and Arizona as the 2 matchups coming out of there for this weekend. So those 2 winners of those games will take each other on. I've got North Carolina and Xavier. Let's see if I was right about that one. And Duke, they do their thing, roll through their first 2 rounds. They better, because they're all I've got left to win this whole thing. They're going to take on Utah, who knocked off Georgetown. That's another one I had in the Sweet 16. Like I said, I got 9 of them. I think you could have flipped coins and got 9 out of 7 in the Sweet 16. But it's better than 50-50. I'll take it. Duke and Utah, and then UCLA, Gonzaga. Hey, I had Gonzaga out in the first round of the tournament to North Dakota State, and then I had Davidson beating North Dakota State. So you know what? Sometimes you pick the upsets right, and then sometimes you go, What was I thinking there? Anyways, but I had an Iowa State-Davidson Sweet 16 matchup because I just had to be smarter than the rest of the bracket. But, man, Ohio State – and, by the way, we're going to talk more about all of this, guys. I'm just kind of giving a brief little look over at things. Dan Wismar, when he joins us in a little bit, will dive especially into the Buckeyes, who, as we know, on Friday when we went off the air, Buckeyes knocked off VCU in a great overtime game, set the stage for a matchup with Arizona. But D'Angelo Russell found out that when they want to stop a guy, they'll stop a guy, and they befuddled the Buckeyes 73-58. Arizona wins that one, marches on, not competitive at all there, marches on into the Sweet 16. We'll talk some more about that as we go. Buckeyes season ends now. All the questions around Russell. Does he go out one and done? Does he come back? I don't know. I'm pretty sure. I mean, everybody seems to know for sure that he's going to go, and I'm sure that is, because it is just, at the end of the day, it really is hard to turn away all that money. It really is. I mean, and the guarantee and the injury risk, even though you can get insurance and all of that stuff. I get it. I was hoping that maybe catching a little Buckeye fever, a little madness fever going through the tournament. And I think had they went on a Sweet 16 run, maybe you go, ooh, we came that close my first year. I could sacrifice one more year and come back. But going out the way they did, that may just be the, hey, I had some fun, now I'm going to go get paid. We'll see. I'm going to talk about that with Dan here in a little bit. Let's take the first break of the show and open up the phones, you guys. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535 is the number to call. The phones are open. We're going to take a break, come back, talking some more hoops. We've got plenty more NCAA talk to go when Dan Wismar joins us. Let's talk about the Cavaliers as they get to action this weekend. A good weekend for the Cavs, home and on the road. Some good challenges, some comebacks, some all kinds of things that you want to see these guys. They are really getting themselves into playoff mode. I'm telling you guys, it is not the homer in me when I say that. I'm telling you, I don't know who's going to beat this team in a 7-game series. They can lose to anybody once or twice, man, but these Cavaliers are showing me the tenets that you see in individual teams that make them very, very hard 4-game outs in a 7. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm, again, talking about a 4-game out in a 7-game series. It's all about the matchups, of course, but I mean, I love the things, especially defensively. I mean, here yesterday, again, we've just seen the growth. Yeah, I know I got to get the break, and then we'll talk about this when we come back, but we've just seen the growth when they fall behind. They don't have the energy. They have these games where earlier in the season you would have shrugged it off as a loss and said, that's okay, we'll learn from it and move on, and they aren't accepting those anymore, and you can't accept it anymore because it's playoff time, man. It is money time now. We'll talk about that when we come back. Cavaliers, Bucks, good game yesterday. Cavaliers get the win. We'll talk about the Pacers game the other day, too. What matchup problems for the Cavs? We'll talk about all of that here. Opening up the phones. Already got some calls in on the queue. 216-539-7535. Talking hoops when we come back. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan just about 15 minutes from now and more. Don't go anywhere. Pop the top on this Sports Fix, baby.
This is the Sports Fix.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
They call me Mr. Pig!
We'll call you whatever you like, as long as we can call you a fan of the Sports Fix.
Guys, want to take just a second as we head into this break and remind you about the official business printing source of the Sports Fix, our friends at Signs and Ship. Signs and Ship, I'm telling you, Chris and Pam, they've taken care of me since day one, and they can do the same for you. Whether you're a small business that's already been established and you're looking to grow to that next level and expand your business, or perhaps you've got an idea that you just know is going to be a great business and you need to figure out how to brand it and how to promote it and put it out there, Signs and Ship is the place for you. If you need a logo, they can create one for you. They have a fantastic graphic designer. Business cards, signs, banners, yard signs, mobile advertising, anything you can think of that you need to promote your business, they've got it at Signs and Ship. The best thing about them, too, is each of their locations, whether it's the home base here in Elyria, Ohio that I work with, or their spots in Virginia, Florida, and Pennsylvania. It's all local sourced. Very important to me because we all understand that small business is the lifeblood of the community. So check them out, signsandship.com, or call Chris and Pam today, 440-323-6060, the home office in Elyria, Ohio. Signs and Ship, quality printing at affordable prices.
Sports Fix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper car, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs. There's literally only one place to go. FantasyJocks.com.
Here we go, bring it on in. It's time now. It's all city. We got to do it for them, dog. We got to do it for Cleveland. They're waiting on us. We're fine what we're about. Let's get it going.
Every single night, every single practice, every single game, we got to give it all we got because they're going to ride with us. Everything that we do on this floor was because of this city. We owe them. We're going to grind for this city. They're going to support us, man, but we got to give it all back to them. We get it done. The toughness that we have on the court is going to come from this city. Everybody, the whole city of Cleveland, that's what it's all about. It's time to bring them something special. Let's go. Bring it on in, everybody. Let's go. Hard work on 3. Together on 6. 1, 2, 3. Hard work. 4, 5, 6. Together. 1, 2, 3. Hard work. 4, 5, 6. Together. It's all us. Cleveland on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hey everybody, this is Jerry the King Lawler from WWE, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
They're playing basketball without that basketball. They're playing basketball without that basketball. They're playing basketball.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Live. J-Rocc back with you here across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Getting ready to open the phones, talk some hoops. We're talking basketball, NCAA basketball, Cavaliers basketball, and that is otherworldly basketball right now. I'm serious. Listen, you guys. All right, I'll go into my dissertation here in a minute, man. Welcome back to the show. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. The number to call. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix, CLE. Email us, The Sports Fix at AOL.com. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Make sure you like it while you're there. Tweet with us. Follow us at The Sports Fix, CLE. Email us, The Sports Fix at AOL.com. And as we roll into the show, you guys here, I'm just saying, you know, the Cavaliers, we've brought up before that you look back to 09 and 2010, you look at 66 and 61 game seasons, and those Cavs teams, they felt good. You were happy. They were taking pictures. It was a lot of wins. It was franchise records. It was really good stuff. But I got to be honest, like, okay, we were shocked. And you know, obviously, you got to put yourself back 6-7 years. This is before the decision. This is before everybody, you know, everything, the world went crazy. This is when everybody said, man, LeBron's going to lead us to the promised land. We've got the best player and we're going to put the best team together. And it appeared like they were doing that, even though we were missing the stumbling blocks along the way as they were happening, because everybody was watching this, and it's easy to see as you're rolling up 60-plus win regular season teams. But seriously, guys, and if you'd say yes, you may. Maybe you're going to answer this question differently than me, but did you ever feel about that team the way you did about the way this team is playing. And I'm not talking about a hot time period of 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a hot month even. Terry Pluto is talking to himself about the Cavaliers over the weekend here. Pointed out to so many of the things that we've been talking about day to day here, that when you look back and now and you go back and put it in a perspective. I mean, going back, we always talk about how good the Cavs have been since they made those trades and they changed their season back on January 15th. That's 10 weeks. We're closing in on 3 months. That's half of a basketball season. It's 33 games. 41 games is half of a whole basketball season. So you're a week and a half short of a half of a season now. That's not a small sample point. They've lost 6 games, period, in 10 weeks. In that time period, they are 27-6. That is, and not just winning, but it's the way they're doing it. Their average margin of victory since January 15th is 11 points. Look it up. Look up in the NBA margin of victory and tell me how that's way bigger than it sounds when you realize that, man. I mean, it's the method and the manner. And that's why I say, not being a homer, not being a, hey, I love the Cavaliers and they're the best because they're my team. I'm telling you that I'll sit down with anybody and I would love to have the conversation where you explain to me how this team gets beat 4 games in a 7-game series. Of course it can happen. The best teams have been beaten. It's going to take an effort. And if the Cavaliers don't put down the effort that they've been doing in the playoffs, whole thing will be for naught. But I don't see that. I don't see that tendency in this team. They're getting stronger as they go in the right places defensively. Look at yesterday's game. Another game where you had the possibility for the Cavaliers to have a let up for they are missing. I don't know if they're missing the energy or just the other teams got more, but either way, what were you down 10 points at halftime or whatever it was? It's a matinee game. It, throws you off your rhythm a little bit, but there the Cavaliers find themselves just combobulated a little bit, and they didn't sit back on it. They turned that thing around. I mean, look at that second quarter. We've talked about second and third quarters being so strong for the Cavs. This day, it was the third and the fourth. They were nip and tuck in the first quarter, get rolled in the second, right? It looks like, okay, maybe the Cavs just had a bad start to this little road trip here. Let's see what they do in the second half. Try 64 points combined in the second half. They won the third quarter 31-20. They won the fourth quarter 33-17. This is on the road against a team that knows they have to win to get in the playoffs. Cavaliers have already clinched themselves. They're playing for seeding at this point and to get set for the playoffs. Milwaukee's playing for their playoff lives here, and boom, the Cavaliers, they went out and had their halftime deal. They pulled themselves together and they came out and got rolling once again. J.R. Smith, another big part of what he's doing. Not back-to-back. Try back-to-back-to-back three-pointers, man, that just put a real exclamation point on that thing there. Cavaliers defense forced 23 turnovers against the Bucks, and I haven't even started talking about the Pacers game the other day. Delly, for all the stuff people give him, comes up big at the end when the Cavaliers need some points. I mean, seriously, guys, across the board, this Cavaliers team is strengthening and galvanizing in all the right places that you need to make a legitimate NBA Finals run. Whether they finish it off or not is what we're all going to enjoy watching. But I'm telling you, I want to sit down and break down a team that can do that. The Cavaliers can easily be beaten one night. I mean, we've seen it. There is a formula. But even then, I guess I threw the word easily in there. That's not even as easy anymore because they don't have that, I don't know, whatever it is, that allowed them to be accepting of learning, and we'll get it better the next day. They've transitioned into that. Now we're in the second half of the season. We're getting into playoff mode. Obviously, you're seeing LeBron step it up to another level. We've seen Kyrie Irving, all of these guys doing their thing, man. And, again, too, by the way, all this going on, and you can't stop. Of course, I get a blurb on my phone as we're doing the show. Brian Windhorst from ESPN's, look, Kevin Love still doesn't fit in. Listen, Look, you guys can bark that all you want. Kevin Love will fit in just fine on the float down Euclid if this thing finishes off. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure, and I'm not sold that Kevin Love chooses to come back to Cleveland. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I've noticed a trend that in a lot of the, and this is just me noticing, but behind the scenes, the Cavaliers take a lot of team pictures, a lot of things. Kevin Love not always in the mix. Not saying that maybe he's a bit of a loner. I'm a loner, and a loner's got to be alone. But anyways, just saying, the future is the future. But, man, I got no problem with Kevin Love right now, and these stories it's something to talk about because the Cavaliers have to have some kind of turbulence going on around them heading into the playoffs, or the national media wouldn't know what to do with themselves. So, anyways, that could be the new one. It'll be the fumble, the shot, the turbulence. I don't know, the love. I don't know, whatever. But it's not there. I mean, yes, there are issues that will be contract and play related come next year and come the summer. And what am I doing as a free agent? That has nothing to do with what am I doing right now as a Cavalier. But anyways, let's talk about, I'm going to go to the phones. I'm done talking to myself. I want to talk to you. Caller, you're first up, talking some Cavs on the Sports Fix.
Hi, Jerry. It's Betty. How are you?
Betty, how you doing?
Okay, just listening to you talk.
What's up?
You got everything right on point. Yeah, I'm really with the Cavaliers. I've definitely seen a big transition since January 15th. Old news. We're in the playoffs. Can we go further? Can we go up to the finals, do you think?
Oh, I got to tell you, man. I mean, obviously everybody pointing to what's going to happen. The Hawks, listen, the Hawks will be a bad out. And I see the matchup issues there too. But the Cavaliers, again, when they play their type of defense, that man, that's going to make them very. But again, that's going to be an excellent series. Let me just qualify that. The Cavaliers aren't walking through Atlanta. The Cavaliers aren't walking through Chicago. But then again, at the same time, sometimes it makes you go, man, it's going to be very interesting to see once the playoffs come. But it's the play in the half court that's going to be important. They've got to not turn the ball over, and they've got to make sure that they don't devolve into a team that goes one-on-one, because that's the only thing about this team that bothers me is the tendency to stop moving. When they move the ball, they're not going to lose to Atlanta. They're not going to lose to anybody except, I'll tell you what, Golden State and Houston in the West. Those are the two teams with San Antonio. Although, man, the Cavs made San Antonio look slow, but that's a regular season game. That has nothing to do with what the Spurs are going to do in the playoffs. But I see those three teams being able to give the Cavs fits in the finals. But, man, I don't see Atlanta beating the Cavs 4 games. I know you look at the season record and you go, well, the Atlanta did pretty well. That they played one game when these two teams were what they're going to be in the playoffs. And yes, the Cavaliers had work to do at that point. But since that game, we've seen them continue to improve. It's going to be, that's going to be their litmus test in the Eastern Conference Finals, or if it's the semifinals, if they happen to end up a different seed. But Atlanta, can they beat them? I don't see Atlanta winning a 7-game series. But, man, you got shooters over there. I mean, trust me, the Cavs are going to have to be on point, because one thing that I noticed them on defense is that sometimes whether they overextend themselves, overreach, they make little risky plays that lead to a lot of turnovers, but they over-rotate sometimes, and they do leave guys open for 3, and Atlanta will kill you on that if you over-rotate on them and leave guys open for 3. So let's not act like Atlanta can't win, but I just have a hard time seeing a scenario where the Cavaliers lose a 7-game series in the East.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I don't think Atlanta will go any further than a semi-conference myself.
Okay.
I think Cavaliers will meet the Bulls in the oh goodness. I think they'll beat the Bulls in 7-game conference finals.
Well, I mean, you know what? A lot of that, too, is going to determine on the health of Chicago as they get in there. And, of course, the Cavs, for all of this to matter, the Cavaliers have to stay healthy, too. Obviously, that's going to be a big part of things, too. Being able to stay healthy, stay rested, get yourself ready, and then go out. But, again, you're seeing, and this is the thing that I think we're beginning to see little pieces of, you guys, is the Cavaliers, because there's playoff mode, as players like to say, and you can't live in that mode every game because you have too many and you're going to wear yourself out. But the Cavs have shown me the ability that no matter what the score, no matter what the situation, like just the old, when they decide to do something and put their mind to it, they're going to do it. Well, not being tongue-in-cheek, but they've shown the ability to huddle up, decide, we need to steal the ball, we need to do this, we need to do that, play better deep, whatever it is, and go out and do it. They have the ability to turn that switch, and I don't think that we've seen the switch all the way turned yet. And as good as they're playing now, as well as the Cavs are playing now, I believe that there's another switch for them to flip come playoff time, and that is a scary thought.
It is. Because once they hit that final switch, anything can happen, meaning the positive.
Absolutely.
Well, I got to keep saying we're the beast of the East. That's how I look at it. I'm sorry. I mean, with the beast, we got the players, we got stamina, we got when they play good. When also I don't think those slack in. I say slack. I don't think those slack off in playoffs. Like LeBron knows what to do.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I mean, like I said, I see ways that they can lose. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong, man. They devolve into that one-on-one game too much. But even then, they have two great individual one-on-one players. So even then, even when they devolve into an isolation game, they've still got a 50-50 shot or better of beating you doing that, because you get nights where either LeBron or Kyrie decide we're going to score X amount of points and just make ridiculous drives to the hoop all night. So that's the other level. Really, the emergence of Kyrie Irving, guys, all stroking the Cavs aside, the emergence of Kyrie Irving is a true second, 1A, 1B type guy. That's the difference, because now the Cavaliers are deep enough beyond those two as well that either one of those two are going to beat you, and if you decide you're not going to let those two beat you, then J.R. Smith is just going to shoot 800 three-pointers, and Mozgov and Love are going to grab all the rebounds, and you're going to lose either way. I'm just saying the Cavaliers definitely have the right formula, and they definitely have the right roster makeup now to head into the playoffs with a shortened 8-9-man rotation and take care of business.
That's true.
We'll see what happens. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was okay. No, it's okay. With Coach Blatt, everybody was so, when he came into the season, he's from overseas. Well, like you said, basketball is basketball. I mean, what did it take to almost half season before to get to January 15th to get what we need to get on our team, and hopefully we can get accomplished what we want to get accomplished. Because we haven't had anybody win a series, win a tournament since 1964.
Now, I'm just curious, you guys, and this isn't just for Betty. This is for all you guys as I wrap up this call here. I'm going to ask Dan Wismar this, too. All the talk about, it's a no-brainer for David Griffin to be the executive of the year. And I'm with you on that one. I agree. I absolutely agree, although I think he should share it with LeBron James because that kind of helped make it happen. But let's flip that narrative. And I know it's not going to happen because there's other teams with better records and their coaches will probably win it. But tell me, David Blatt, all the crap that he got in the first half of the season, all of this guy's overrated. He's in over his head. He can't handle the NBA game. He'll be gone in 2 months. And I thought he was. I thought they were going to run him out before he got a chance to prove, hey, I swear I've coached a basketball game or two before. I thought for sure that they were going to screw around and run him out. And luckily, I think Griffin knew it was coming. He knew that the players, that was not going to be a good scenario unless he did what he needed to do. And he did immediately, addressed it and made those trades. But here you see, guess what? The Cavaliers started the season as struggling as they did. They were the second team in the East to clinch a playoff spot. And technically, Atlanta's on a little bit of a cold streak here. If the Cavs won out, they could technically push Atlanta here they won't win it. They're 8 games back with 10 to play. But the Cavaliers are pushing. Atlanta's feeling it there. They're struggling a bit, holding it off at the end, trying to keep. It's hard too when you win that many games to keep yourself focused at the top, and keep yourself. That's tough when there's no more challenges until you hit the playoffs. But where does David Blatt land in the Coach of the Year conversation? Because he turned with the trades and everything, but not only did he hold the ship during the tough part of the season, but don't just give the credit. It's not like David Griffin waved a magic wand and these guys just made the team better. David Blatt, in the middle of his rookie season, had to figure out how to assimilate 3 new starting moving pieces. Well, Shumpert is coming off the bench, number 6, but 3 key pieces, moving pieces and parts in the middle of the season with all of the drama and stress and the hot seat that he was in. Come on. Does David Blatt to me is a no-brainer to be right at the top of any conversation for Coach of the Year. And I think even if he didn't win as many games as Golden State or Atlanta, that with what he had to deal with, I would give it to David Blatt. I would make David Blatt my Coach of the Year because of not where the Cavs ended up, but because of the path of how they got there.
Right, you got it right on.
There we go. What do you do when you leave the caller speechless, man? I don't know what to do, man. I nailed it. Betty,
right.
Good call.
Okay.
I appreciate it. All right. Good stuff there. I'm not trying to say it before you say it. It's not my on the same page. That's good. That lets me know that we're all kind of on the same page here. And I'm with Bruce. Now we just got to sit back and watch it all play itself out and see how it happens. I'm telling you, when them playoffs hit, it's going to be a fun couple of months. Knock on the wood there, a couple of months. Fun couple of months come playoff time here, and it's almost there. We are 10 games away, right? Yeah, Cavs are 10 games left in the regular season before we kick it up a notch. Bam! Take it to the playoffs. But we'll see. We'll talk some more about that. Where are you guys at on the Cavs? Facebook, Twitter, hit me up. Let me know. Phones, I'll open them up again later. I'm going to take a break, get the news, and get Dan Wismar in on the conversation. We'll talk about that. I'm going to ask him right off the bat what he thinks about David Blatt and should he get some votes there for Coach of the Year. We'll talk tournament, Buckeyes out, Indians, Browns on Hard Knocks, all of that. Let's hit into a whole bunch of things with Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan. Coming up next after the news here on The Fix. Let's go, Cavs. Come on, Cavs.
Keep on getting on. Gotta make it happen. Come on, Cavs. Gotta make it happen. Come on, Cavs.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into
The Sports Fix. We'll be right back. It's an addiction. The Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Today on Save on Taxes, we ask 100 people what costs less than filing your taxes with IRS Free File.
A car seat. Oh, a pair of shoes.
The correct answer is nothing. When you use Free File, you get brand name software, tax prep, e-filing, and help with the new healthcare provisions, all for free.
So, did we win anything?
Everybody wins. freefile.irs.gov. It's fast, it's safe, it's free.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Whether it's an oil change or a new set of tires, Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck has you covered for your car care needs. They're your neighborhood quick service experts. They also offer a low price tire guarantee. Choose from 13 brands, and if you find the same tires at a lower price within 30 days, Quick Lane at Valley Ford will refund the difference. 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View. Come see why life is better in the Quick Lane. quicklane.com/Valley Ford Truck.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Signs and Ship, the official printing source of the Sports Fix. Locations in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Florida. Find out more at signsandship.com.
News break.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, the Cowboys have taken some heat after their signing of Greg Hardy. some from Dallas Mayor Mike Rawlings, and the daughter of team owner Jerry Jones is answering those critics. In an interview with the Dallas Morning News, Charlotte Jones Anderson said they don't believe in throwing people away, added that experts have said it's far better to provide a way out combined with educational and rehabilitative services and therapy, which does more to protect the victim and prevent future violence than a zero-tolerance policy. Hardy remains on the commissioner's exempt list because of a domestic violence case. ESPN's Dan Graziano reporting the Giants no closer to an agreement on an extension with quarterback Eli Manning, and they're comfortable letting him play out the final year of his deal without one. The team's primary goal is to keep Eli a Giant the rest of his career, but there's no advantage to them moving on the extension right now. The Browns are the front runners to be in this year's edition of HBO's Hard Knocks, according to the Buffalo News. Baseball, John Dowd, the man who led the investigation of Pete Rose, told the Cincinnati Enquirer Rose should never be allowed back in the game because of gambling.
With the new Citi Double Cash Card, every purchase gets a little sweeter because it's the card that lets you earn 1% cash back when you buy and 1% as you pay. With 2 ways to earn cash back, it makes a lot of other cards seem one-sided.
You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rocc back with you here, getting ready to be joined by Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan, my man. Talk to us here every Monday and Wednesday. It's Wismar Day, baby. Always a good conversation. We're going to hit it all over, too. We've got Cavs, Buckeyes, Tribe. We got hoops and Browns on Hard Knocks. I heard that one. I was gonna mention it anyway. I've been whatever. Listen, I can't believe that people are wasting their airtime, their breath as fans, their conversation time. Listen, did you guys not see how last year went? Did you not see the circus that they intentionally created at training camp? Bro, Browns aren't running from this thing. The Browns are front and center in line. Look, this is not even a problem for the organization. Maybe some fans don't like it. This is not a should we do it. The Browns aren't wondering if they should be on Hard Knocks. They're at the front of the line letting the NFL know, hey, we're glad to do this. Come on. They've never met Jimmy Haslam. I'm not going to just call him a terrible owner just yet, but they never met a circus that they didn't like because hey man, controversy creates buzz, creates cash, creates all of that stuff. But if you think that they're not falling all over themselves to host Hard Knocks, you're crazy. This is only a discussion amongst sports talk and Browns fans so they can waste 3 hours going, well, it's going to distract from training camp. I've seen people make that argument. I saw Tony Grossi make that argument this morning. Well, distractions at training camp. Look, am I the only one that attended last year's training camp? Because after that, Hard Knocks is a drop in the bucket. This is nothing. And I will bring up a good point that I saw Pat McManaman talking about on his Twitter account earlier. I think he had a linked article as well. If you're truly in the rehabilitating your young quarterback, and I don't mean on the field, if you're truly in the what's best for Johnny Manziel mode, do you think that fits that category? Because to be honest, I don't. When this kid, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's coming out of rehab legit and he wants to do things good. Oh, I'm just saying that microscope, it's already going to be big enough. Let's do that all over again. No way. It's not good if you're into the rehabbing Johnny Manziel business. As a human being, if you want to see that kid be better, I'm guessing that may not be the smartest thing either. Is that really looking out for some of your better interests there? Seriously, guys. I don't like Manziel, but this has nothing to do with that. If we're legit and this kid really is, and maybe it's all a front, which is what a lot of people think, but if it's legit, then you're not doing him any favors by opening up the circus even bigger. I know you have to deal with it. You're a quarterback, you're rich and all of that. I get it, but aren't we supposed to be making this a better process? That's why we're hiding him away from the media. That's why we're going to baby him all the way, which you should. I don't say that in a bad way. It's why we're going to protect him all the way. Well, you're not exactly protecting him there. But if you guys think the Browns aren't falling all over themselves to host Hard Knocks, then we don't even need to finish this conversation, because the only people discussing it are guys like us and you guys, because they have already let the NFL know, thumbs up, baby. You bring them cameras in, we're ready to go. I think that it's a done deal. I think it's a done deal that the Browns are. They would have done it last year if the Browns didn't fall into that category of having a new head coach. And when you have a new head coach, you're not allowed to be forced to do that because you've got, stuff that's more important than being recorded 24/7. But yeah, man, the Browns are going to host Hard Knocks. You can just take that to the bank, you guys. And they love it. They signed up for it. We're going to sign up for Dan Wismar. Let's get this conversation rolling and pick it up there. Talking about a whole bunch of things with my man Dan from the Cleveland Fan. You like how I did that? Dan Wismar, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, J-Rocc. Good to be with you. I got to say, I do have a little bit of a different take than you on the Hard Knocks thing. Because I remember last year, Jerry, and like you said, the team that has a new head coach is allowed to opt out. The Hard Knocks thing, and I don't understand this, they're the front runners, as if this is a competition like a beauty pageant or something.
Like a good thing. It's not a good thing.
First of all, it's always been my assumption and my take on the whole Hard Knocks thing that it is a pain in the butt for NFL teams to have to deal with it. That this is not a prize to be won, that this is not something that NFL teams want to have happen, and there's a pecking order and a line at the door to be on Hard Knocks. I've never got that impression. Pretty much the NFL decides, hey, you're up. It's to be named to be the team that's going to be on Hard Knocks is sort of like being named to play on Thursday Night Football. It's not a thing that teams necessarily want to do.
Dan, I disagree. You are right. I do agree. I agree with what you just said, but only with certain teams, because there are certain franchises that do look at it exactly like what you just said. And I'm not even including the Browns on either side of this argument, but looking around the NFL, I do think you're wrong, because whereas everybody's like, about getting thrown on Thursday Night Football, there are the Jimmy Haslams, the Jerry Joneses, there are the big spotlight type owners that thrive on the hey man, the spotlight that this puts on our team. It builds your brand. That was something I saw Tony Grossi talking about this morning, say, well, it builds the Browns brand around the league. And I will say that from that aspect it does. And when you're looking at things from selling your jerseys and getting that brand out there, and that I'm just saying, I know we think, well, the Browns don't need any help with that, but obviously they don't agree because they keep wanting to add the jerseys and uniforms and things because they want to make more money. But I don't agree with 100%. I think there is at least a third of the NFL owners that fall all over themselves to get their team in a position like Hard Knocks.
That may be, and I just remember last year Mike Pettin wanted no part of it.
Because he's smart. He's smart.
To me, having HBO in your locker room and at your practices, to me, and you might say, and the old adage is that, there's no such thing as bad publicity. All publicity is good publicity. But to me, catching a player saying something that he shouldn't say on camera, in other words, mostly the things that can happen are bad. Yes. They're going to open you up to criticism because people saying things they shouldn't say, or politically incorrect things, or just the camera catching somebody at the wrong moment. I just think there's just so much the potential for bad publicity and there is the distraction factor. I don't think you can necessarily just poo-poo that away and say that that's not an issue. Maybe the owner wants it more. Certainly, I think you can assume that the owner wants it more than the coach wants it. For the coach, it's got to be a distraction. But I just think, based on how the Browns reacted last year when the NFL wanted them to do it last year, and the NFL pretty much says, from what I've gathered, the NFL says, hey, you're up. It's your turn. We want you to do this year. Last year they wanted it for obvious reasons, the Manziel factor. We saw how that worked out. So, again, they're back banging on the Browns' door this year. I just don't I have a hard time seeing this as a competition among teams who want it. I have a feeling that it's more, hey, man, the NFL's going to tap you on the shoulder this year, and unless you have the opt-out option like any team that has a new head coach is allowed to do, and opt out like the Browns did last year, and like they were more than happy to do last year, from all I could gather. When your numbers up, you're it, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. So
all right,
I don't
Dan,
know. We'll
agree.
see how that goes.
I agree with what you said. I hate it. Listen, I think it's stupid for all of those reasons for any team to put themselves on it. Everything you named, I'm just literally sitting here going, amen. Every word you're saying, because I want nothing to do with it. I don't want my team, if whatever my team is, I don't want them having anything to do with that. Like I said, look at the circus last year and just add 24/7 cameras to it, because that's what you're opening yourself up to. But I just truly believe that the situation you described about how people run from it, I think that fits half the league. The stable teams, the teams that have competent ownership, and I don't mean this to, I'm not just hitting the Browns. There's plenty of the Jets. There's these franchises that like the spotlight and the publicity of that. And then I think like a New England or a Seattle, I think you hit those guys up and say, hey, what do you think? And that's when you get the reaction you said. Belichick's like, nah, man, don't even bother me with this, man. Do I have to do it? Really? I mean, I do believe that those successful coaches are the ones that have their eye on the prize and that know this is dumb. This is only going to hurt my team. They're the ones that react like you said. But I honestly believe there's 8 to 10 franchises, and I named 3 of them there, the Browns, the Jets, and the Cowboys, and you could go on, that say, man, that all publicity is good publicity. And I just truly believe that there are, and they're, unfortunately, I know that I'm saying this to blanket the Browns too, but it's the truth, they're also the bottom third of the league, because they're the franchises that are too worried about the attention and the hard knocks and the colors of their jerseys, and they end up turning over their regime every 2 years and never build a strong team.
Well, that's true, and I think probably from the standpoint of the local fan base, typically, and at least in this town, there's a hunger for more information, and for those people in Greater Cleveland and then the Browns fan community that have HBO, first of all, but are able to watch the show, I think they're going to, suck it up, eat it up, love it, because it gets them closer to the players. They see their players in situations they wouldn't otherwise see them in. They feel like they're getting to know the individual players on the team and the coaches and the sort of an inside look at pro football. And for a lot of fans, they can't get enough of that. So I think
I agree.
There's certainly an appetite for it from the fan base standpoint, at least locally. I don't know how the rest of the United States of America is going to feel about seeing inside stuff on the Cleveland Browns, but I'm sure maybe there certainly are other teams where the appetite would be greater, nationally. But, locally, I'm sure it'll be a big hit, because there's always that appetite for more and more about the Cleveland Browns, in good days and bad. We've seen that enough to know that it doesn't matter if the team is bad, the fan base always wants more information.
And I'll tell you what, just as a show, I know we all talk about the sensational parts of Hard Knocks, but I remember watching the year the Cowboys were on it, and what was one of the guys that Martellus Bennett, the tight end, his story was big that year, and they were focusing on him, and I think he was trying to make the team or something, I don't know. But sometimes those subplots of the guys, trying to make a team and working hard and having setbacks, and those stories I kind of like to follow in that, where you know what I mean, and it's a little soap opera-ish, but it's am I going to get cut? And then the guy is talking to the camera, and he's wondering if he's going to show up and have a job tomorrow, and all that stuff. The subplots are pretty good. By the way, guys, Dan, let's segue off of that for a minute. This just came in across me, and I just want to mention it here. We just brought it up the other day, talking about Darren Sharper, while we're talking about the NFL, when he had the additional charges dropped on him the other day. I just got an alert that says he has begun the process, apparently, of pleading guilty here to these, because he worked out a deal this morning in Arizona to plead guilty, and he's going to do 9 years in prison here before he's also scheduled to enter. He's going to start changing his pleas everywhere. It says next is California, and it appears that he is now going to begin the process of changing his plea in all of these cases to guilty and getting sentences through all of them. But I don't know how much you've heard about that. We were just talking about it the other day, how amazing it is when you realize these guys live full lives and they've got all the resources and access to the world. And meanwhile, you find out there's a whole dark side. But yeah, Darren Sharper, there's no more innocent until proven guilty. He has changed his plea on the first set of charges to guilty and is apparently in the process of doing that in several other states as well.
Yeah, I got to say, Jerry, that I must plead ignorance on it. I haven't followed the case, and probably for that reason, should just decline comment. I really don't know enough about it to have an informed opinion, so I'll just have to, to let that ride. And as a news report, I really haven't followed his story, to be honest. I couldn't tell you what even the charges are.
Oh, it was definitely an ugly sordid case. 4 different states so far where he ended up charged with. He was date raping women across the country with roofies and different types of very similar to the type of charge a lot of people threw out there with the he said, she said about Bill Cosby, except this came with charges in 4 different states. And he was being held on $25 million bail in the one state. And it was definitely a sordid set of cases. But apparently now, because he just got another one on Friday that just added a new set of charges to him in a new state. So apparently that one may have pushed him over the top because, as I said, the AP release that I wrote said that he finished his guilty plea this morning and is now scheduled to video plea in L.A. today and change his plea to guilty there as well. And then he's also got Louisiana and Nevada, and they're all the same charges. Each case is expected to lead to 10 to 20 years of prison in each state as he pleads guilty, as I said, accused of drugging and raping women across the country through the use of date rape drugs.
Yeah, that's awful. I had only vaguely heard that he was under arrest, and I had not paid much attention, frankly, to what the charges were. But yeah, obviously they've got him over a barrel, and if he's pleading guilty, then they've got him, and he's cutting a deal for less jail time than otherwise would get.
Jeff Gorman and I were talking about that the other day when you look at any cases of guys, and it's just amazing what you don't know, Aaron Hernandez, what you don't know, and then you find out and you go, man, all along. It's the world we live in, and the fact that everything is more sensationalized and mediaized, and there's more social media and 24/7 everything. It just, I always say these things always existed before. People just didn't know anywhere near as much of the stuff that they know now.
That's true, and the same thing exists, more routinely among players who just don't happen to be NFL players. So we don't ever hear about them, or they're just a little line item in the news instead of a headline story because the perpetrator doesn't happen to be a celebrity.
Absolutely, man. I think as we speak, I think this morning I saw a headline on the paper. There, similar case with unknown assailants. They've got hundreds of them backlogged. They're trying to track them down. It's a little different. The headline takes a little longer to reach the front page than when there's a big NFL player or a big celebrity attached to it. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan. We're talking. We just crossed over into hour 2 of the Sports Fix, and let's switch off of a little bit off of there. Basketball, we were talking before you called in, and before I even hit the big tournament, I don't know if you heard me, I was talking a little bit about David Blatt before the break, and I'm just curious if you think there's any chance here, man. I think that maybe he won't win because he didn't coach the Hawks or the Warriors to the best record, but man, I think David Blatt deserves to win Coach of the Year more than any other coach in the NBA.
Well, there's a case to be made there, I guess, Jerry. To be honest, after I heard you talking about that, I'm racking my brain, and I'm trying to think of the name of the Atlanta Hawks coach, and I had to go look it up to get Mike Budenholzer.
Yeah.
Certainly Steve Kerr is going to be maybe the favorite. He's a face people know. He's a guy that came over from the TV side and coached the Warriors to a great record, and he's got a great thing going out there. But the Atlanta Hawks, this guy out of nowhere, literally, I think right now David Blatt, as good a job as he's done, there's always going to be that perception that, well, he's not the real coach of the team, that's LeBron James.
True.
And that he's going to be running third behind, the Hawks and the Warriors coaches, respectively. And I think that's, maybe that's as it should be, but he'll get his votes, and he certainly has earned some consideration as Coach of the Year, no doubt. He has had a lot to deal with, a lot more sort of ego juggling, if you want to put it that way, with the whole, Kevin Love soap opera that's sort of been a season-long thing. The whole issue with Kyrie and LeBron and doubts at the early part of the season whether they could mesh well. And, it's just been really striking how that whole thing has come together. And how can you not give him credit for, the way this team has performed over the last, 35, 40 games? It's really been amazing. Even just yesterday when this team looked as if they were going through the motions in the first half. And
right.
you really start to think, Gary, and at least I do, that as long as they can stay within a half a dozen points or so, or even 10 of any team, even on the road, they went, and I looked at this score. I was watching the NCAA basketball, and I was keeping track on my phone of the Cavs score, and I would check it, flip over to it occasionally, but I was checking the score typically on my ESPN Score Center app, and I saw that I think it was 75-71 Milwaukee at one point, mid third quarter to almost late third quarter.
Until they went on that 26-9 run.
71-67, 75-71. I turn around, it's 93-78. Cavs are up by 15. Next time I checked the score, I couldn't believe it.
That was that J.R. Smith run.
Game.
That was that J.R. Smith run where he hit the 3 3-pointers, and they went on like a 25-9 run or something like that, man.
Late third quarter, they just say, "Okay, let's roll. Time to go." And
that's what I mean.
People always say, "Well, you can't just turn on the gas or step on the gas, whenever you want to." Well, really, because it looks like you can. With this team, at least, okay, we're close. We're done toying with these guys. I realize we're on the road. We're down a half a dozen points. We have been the whole game. Let's go. It's go time, as LeBron says, and do it. And, bang, they're up 15, and that coast home by 18.
That's nuts.
On the road. So yeah, it is remarkable how they've been able to do that. And sometimes they'll blow a team out right from out of the gate. But still, even if they're even close, and they've been close in every game. The games they've lost in this stretch have been nail biters down to the buzzer, with few exceptions.
Dan.
But it really is remarkable how they can sort of, step on it at the end when they have to, and then lock it up. Not make it a no doubter by the time the last couple minutes roll around. So yeah, it's been fun to watch, and we're just setting up now for seeding, and it looks like they've got that second seed pretty much locked up. You're up 3.5 games now with 10 to go, and that seems pretty secure. And they've got the tough road stretches out of the way now, and the sort of half and half coming down the stretch.
I was talking to somebody over the weekend about what you said. I said, man, I don't know a lot of teams that have the ability that the Cavs have to turn a double-digit deficit into a double-digit lead in no time. I mean, that's like you say, it happens like that yesterday. Same thing there. J.R. Smith, talking about him hitting those 3 3-pointers, 7 of 9 from 3-point yesterday, man. I mean, just think about that, man. I mean, when you've already got LeBron James and Kyrie Irving, which are incredible individual weapons to have, and then you've got a strong group as a whole, and you've got Kevin Love, who is he's a third gun no matter what some people say about him, and then you got J.R. Smith, who literally just shoots all day long, but he's not running and gunning and making bad shots and all. I mean, he's open. They find him, and he just hits almost everything that comes his way. How do you beat a team that has LeBron, Kyrie, and then this cat J.R. Smith is hitting 7 of 9 3-pointers?
Yeah, you're right. And the other thing about Smith, and you can throw Shumpert in there too. Shumpert's not the veteran sort of seasoned guy necessarily that J.R. Smith is, but they can both shoot threes, and neither of them hurt you on the defensive end. They're both right up to speed with the defense that this team's capable of playing when they decide it's go time. There were some people, and I saw them in my Twitter timeline yesterday during the early part of the game, whining about why are the Cavs just not playing with any effort? Why are they just seemingly sleepwalking through this first half, and there are too many turnovers, and there's this whining going on. And when they end up being down 4 or something at halftime, and 4 to 6 throughout the early part of the third, and then, like I said, go time comes and they close it out. But people are, impatient with the thing. And I said early in the season, after 10 games, you can almost tell that LeBron, this is before LeBron even took his break and came back, that LeBron seemed bored with the whole thing. And my thought is, here's LeBron. It seems like he's just impatient with the whole idea that you've got to play 82 one-night stands just to seed the playoffs.
Yep.
That his approach is, can we just get on with it, please? I got another plane to catch, another game to play, and ho-hum about the whole thing, because we just got to get this playoff seeding set up so that we can start my season, at that time. And that seems like it's been, he steps it up and obviously takes over games sometimes by himself, but still you get a little bit of that sense that, LeBron's yawning through this game because all it means is, we're going to cement our playoff position, and then we can start playing real games.
And that's the other thing I said, too, is it feels. And I didn't just want to single out LeBron, although he was the main one I was thinking of. But it feels like this team has another switch to flip when they need it. Like, that is what I said makes it really scary to me, because, it's one thing to be hot and rolling, like I brought up, Mo and LeBron and those teams in the last few years before LeBron left. And you never had that, man, that dominant, like, it just, I don't know how to explain it. You did not have the feeling that this team gives you, not that they're a good team, because it's not like that other team won 60 games on accident twice, but this team gives you that feeling that they have more. They're not showing, they're not in playoff mode yet. They can flip that switch, but I pointed out earlier, and I can't think of the right words. It's like the ability to do what you need when you need to. Something only true championship teams can do. If you are down, like you brought up, coming back from big double-digit deficits or whatever, when you go into a huddle and you look at each other, only a certain level, championship-level basketball team can look at each other and come out and do what they say they're going to do. Otherwise, you have to hope that the other team plays into your hands. But when you look at each other and you go, we're going to stop them, we're going to force turnovers, we're going to blah, 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 we're going to cut this away. The Cavs are one of the rare teams in the NBA this year. That's a championship-level team that has the ability to do that. They can take a timeout, go in the huddle, change their focus, come out and cut a 10-point lead just like that, like you said, and end up being on top. That's having that other level that they have. You can feel it, because there's times you can see them turn it on during games like a water faucet, and you go, man, that's going to be there come the playoffs. They're not even playing at full tilt yet.
Yeah, that's true. And you have to put some of that on David Blatt. You have to give him credit for at least some portion of that. Those timeouts. And I'm not enough of a basketball IQ guy to be able to necessarily pick up on every subtlety and every little nuance and every little matchup change or strategy that the team does when they come out of a timeout. But you see the results of it, and certainly you have to credit the coach for some of what he does. And sometimes those things are noticeable. Sometimes it's they're going small, or they're going to spread out the floor and play a little bit more isolation or whatever. Fans and myself included, and you too, from what I understand, get frustrated sometimes when they lean heavily on that ISO play, whether it's Kyrie or LeBron or whomever. Instead, because it seems like it's so magical when they are moving the ball and whipping it around and involving everybody. But sometimes that's spread them out and take a good free throw shooter and send them to the rim, kind of a thing in a close game, especially when you have a lead. You've got to give credit that that's a viable strategy, and it's one that all you have to do is look at their results and the winning streaks to sort of tip your hat and say, well, okay, it might not be the prettiest brand of basketball, but it's working.
You got it. Here's a couple of stats on the Cavs as we wrap that up. Talking about J.R. Smith. His last 5 games, he's hitting 20 of 40 on three-pointers, just going to town, hitting 50%. And how about this? We talk about the Cavs' ability to come back. and close deficits and then take leads. But they're great front runners too. LeBron James teams historically have always been great front runners. I mean, they have when they get up big and they're able to hold it out. This season, the Cavs, this is a pretty good record actually. When they're leading or tied entering the fourth quarter, they're 38-3. Meaning when they've got you through the first three, very, very likely you're going down at the buzzer. I mean, 38-3 when leading or tied going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's right, and it has been sort of a hallmark of LeBron. And we all remember early in LeBron's career when people said he lacked the clutch gene, that because he missed a couple buzzer beater shots that would have won games for the Cavs, and so the criticism early on in his career was that he couldn't hit the one with everything on the line, and he wasn't the kind of guy that had what it took to hit those game winners. Well, if the game ain't close, you don't need to hit a game winner,
Yeah.
And he's done an awful lot of that in his career too, that just, lock up those games, put them away early where it's not competitive at the end, or there's a double-digit lead at the end, and no one's talking about missing game winners or making game winners.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, I got to correct that stat, make it even more impressive. I wasn't figuring in the Milwaukee game. So in his last 6 games, J.R. Smith is 27 of 49. So he's at more like 55% over the last week and a half. That's nuts. That's 25 of 50 3-pointers, man. That's the volume. And again, I say that's weapon number 4. And that is what shows you the true depth of this Cavs team. And I saw some different things. I can't remember. I love to give credit. I saw some articles talking about the Cavs over the weekend. It might have just been Terry Pluto, but about talking about David Blatt and giving him some credit in going with the way he feels on coaching things. And by the way, love to hear him getting questioned. I mean, it never fails. The Cavs win these games, and you hear at the end, why did this guy sit for the fourth quarter? Why wasn't that guy playing? End of the day, they won the game. But anyways, one of the things was not making what everybody thought, including myself, was going to be when Shumpert was healthy, he would switch and go back into the starting lineup, and J.R. Smith would come off the bench. Instead, they rode the hot hand, kept J.R. Smith in the starting 5, and that is part of the group. That's the other thing. The starting 5 of the Cavs is absolutely scary. There's no team in the NBA whose starting 5 dominates the other team even close to as much as the Cavaliers. Their starting 5 is head and shoulders scoring more against the opposition than any team in the league, bar none, and that's a big part of it right there. I mean, their starters are just blowing the other teams out of the water.
Yeah, that's impressive. We talked a week or so ago about how many times they've scored 100 points just as starters. And, I didn't realize that they had that big of an edge over all the other teams in terms of starter scoring, but it's easy to see why when you've got, the big 3 plus a guy like Smith lighting it up like he is.
And the backside of that is that they've got the lowest scoring bench. So, you counter one with the other. But then again, they don't need point. Like they said, everybody that comes off the bench, they don't even want them scoring. That's the best part, is the Cavs go, you know what? We don't even need scoring off the bench. Tristan, we don't run plays for him. We don't run plays for any of these. Shumpert shoots once a game, We don't run plays. By the way, Tristan Thompson, I saw this over the weekend, second leading non-starter in the league in rebounding, man. I think, again, stuff like that, and doesn't need a single play run for him. Those are all the things. And then, not like you need to point out the difference between the Cavs the last few years and this year, but look at Tristan Thompson. I mean, that'll show you the depth of the team. A guy that was your starting center / power forward, whatever, for the last few years, and now he fits into that customized role where he is just an incredible asset for the team, the way he's playing there. But, I didn't even realize he was the second leading bench rebounder in the league.
Yeah, and he's starting to get a little bit of national publicity for that. I mean, guys like, I heard Charles Barkley the other night, kind of tooting Tristan's horn a little bit, called him the best offensive rebounder in the NBA. And people are noticing that Tristan Thompson comes in and he's all about that offensive board and has turned himself into one of the best. And it's just pure effort. He's obviously got some athletic ability, but he does it on want to, and that's what's so fun to watch him do it.
Yeah, and when Barkley, when they were pointing out, and I think even Duncan admitted it, that one of the players that plays on the boards and out rebounds and keeps Tim Duncan off of those boards the best in the entire NBA and frustrates him the most is Tristan Thompson. So when I heard that, I said, man, see, and I've got the utmost respect for Tim Duncan. So when I hear that and when I see that, I go, man, that really gives you an appreciation for what Tristan Thompson can do, because, I mean, Tim Duncan's the big fundamental to me, man. So when you frustrate him, then I want you on my team. And while we're talking hoops and talking Cleveland, Cavs are stuck on the road for this week because there's going to be some college basketball coming in. So they're in the middle of a road trip here. They don't get back to action until Wednesday. But let's talk about some college hoops because got some Sweet 16 action coming to Cleveland. This tournament, by the way, what was your thoughts before we even focus on Cleveland on the first weekend of this year's tournament?
Well, Thursday was just absolutely nuts. I mean, my favorite moment of the tournament so far is the Georgia State coach rolling on the floor after
with his leg.
They
man,
hit that. Oh man, that was just incredible. One of those moments that'll go down in NCAA history. Is people will be revisiting that for years, and of course put as he said put his school on the map, and they really did that just like the Florida school did last year. So Thursday was crazy, and then Friday, everything went according to seed. I mean, it was, and as it turns out right now, you've only got one seed in the entire tournament. It's higher than an 8, and that would be UCLA, which is an 11 seed coming in. Everybody else is 8 seed or lower, and all the Cinderellas are pretty much gone. So after that first day, when you had some big time upsets. Things returned to form and went back to low seeds winning, and chalk is the word. So, but Cleveland ended up with a great draw. I mean, we thought we were going to see a Kansas team coming in here to play, and sure enough, we are. It's just not the one we thought it was going to be.
Shut up.
We got Wichita State coming in instead of Kansas, but. I'm sure that the Cleveland people have to be tickled to have Kentucky, West Virginia, and Notre Dame, all of which are within reasonable distance for their fans to make the trip.
Yes.
And I don't know about how many people Wichita is going to bring into town, but they got a great result, I think. I mean, I've been hearing for 2 weeks already how many Kentucky people are locking up all the hotel rooms and reservations for everything else all over town because they obviously travel well and have a huge following. But hopefully there'll be room for the Notre Dame and the West Virginia people to do the same thing, and should be a great weekend in Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm not that ticket sales were any concern, I don't believe, at this point in the tournament, but you're right, because when you look at local draws in Cleveland, Notre Dame traditionally has a very strong fan base here in the Northeast Ohio area, more on the football side, but still. West Virginia, obviously in proximity, and Kentucky. So, you ended up with 3 of the 4 teams coming in that all have some kind of an actual draw fan base or attraction here in the area, plus some great games. I mean, Kentucky, West Virginia, that's going to be a hell of a game. You've got the Kentucky March to Perfection, which just adds to it, as well as there's potentially going to be 2 Kentucky games here in Cleveland. And on the other side, Wichita State. You go at Wichita State and then they get blown out early and you're like, what the heck? Then you take them out and then they ruin your bracket by knocking off Kansas, who was predestined by me to knock off Kentucky and go to the championship game. So I'm not very happy with Wichita State today, to be honest with you, and I don't want to talk about them.
Yeah, I hear you. They blew a lot of people up. 2 years ago they made it to the Final Four, right?
I know. And then last year,
back on the national map, and they disappointed last year, I guess. But,
with the undefeated run, they were the team.
I was having my hopes riding on Notre Dame to beat Kentucky. So there's still an opportunity to do that. Although Notre Dame has not looked quite as good as in this tournament as they did in the ACC tournament.
They survived 2 close ones. I mean, Northeastern almost knocked them off on day 1, and then give Butler, man. Hey, give the Bulldogs credit, man. They also gave it a nice little ride as well.
Yeah, they really did. To me, the other big takeaway, and of course, as you probably know, I'm always kind of riding the Big Ten's fortunes through this thing, and they had a good first round. They went 5-2 with only the 2 Indiana teams getting knocked out, and Purdue, geez, they really just let a game get away that they should have had in that opener against Cincinnati.
Oh,
they really, really just let
they
that
were up
one slip
7
away,
with
but
30
it's a
seconds
joke.
to go.
Yeah, right. And then talking about teams that just let games get away that could have been theirs. I mean, Maryland last night really should have beaten West Virginia, I thought, and Maryland just played awful basketball the whole second half and let that one get away. But and then of course, we both watched the Buckeyes go down, and that was no surprise. But I thought the Buckeyes in the first half of that game, first of all, should have been up at the half. They were down a point, but even with Russell shooting awful percentage, 3 for 19 for the game was what it turned out to be. He still looked like a stud in that first half, even though he couldn't put the ball in the basket. He had 5 assists and a bunch of boards, and just looked real good doing it. But then obviously the wheels came off in the second half, and Arizona are hitting threes and took the game away from them. And I think they found their level. I was actually surprised. I know you remember that I had picked ECU to beat them in the first round, and I heard you say later in the week that you talked yourself into a first-round win for the Buckeyes, and so you got that one right at least.
I did.
Where I didn't have them. But, they wrapped it up, and we saw the last game for a bunch of guys, and some of them won't be missed in Columbus. 3 guys coming back next year on this team. Kata Bates-Jop had 2 huge threes in that VCU game. Nice-looking freshman player that's going to be back.
Yeah.
And Jay-Sean Tate is back, and of course, Mark Loving. Those 3 are going to be the core of the team.
You don't think
next
D.
year,
Russell's coming back? You don't think D. Russell's coming back, huh?
I really don't know. I'm just trying to put myself in D. Russell's shoes, and it wouldn't have to be a coin flip if someone said, you want to be a millionaire in 4 months or not.
I hear you. I was mentioning the other day that I thought if they got to the Sweet 16, if they got that run, that kind of addicting run through the tournament, that maybe you run the risk of emotion saying, hey, well, it wouldn't kill me to take one more shot at this. You can always buy the insurance policy or whatnot. But I figure, they got the one, but still the way they ended up losing that one, I felt like, he can leave and say, you know what, I'm done here, man. I'm good. But I just thought maybe he would catch the madness, catch the fever a little bit, and roll through. I actually had that one right. That was that. Like I said, my best bracket was the West, man. I had all 4 teams that came out. I had Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Xavier and Arizona. My next upset, I've got Xavier knocking off Arizona here coming into the Sweet 16. So we'll see if I'm right about that one. But, man, I'll tell you what, talk about the Big Ten, Michigan State. I had them rolling through, and I should have stuck to my guns because I had Michigan State Duke in the Final Four, and at the last second I switched out Villanova and Michigan State, and so whatever, as Villanova goes down. But by the way, talking of teams, Dayton, an Ohio team, I said they were going to run from the play-in game to the Sweet 16, and doggone it, they almost pulled it off. Gave it a run there against Oklahoma, but falling short for the Flyers, just short of the Sweet 16.
Yeah, that's true. They really did give it a great shot and a great run for them. There was a little bit of whining about them having 3 home games or whatever, but virtually 1 in Dayton, 2 in Columbus. You can't do a lot better than that in the NCAA tournament, and it's prompted a little bit of outcry for in the future. Why does Dayton have to be the site for all 4 play-in games? Why don't we pick another site? And if we do have that circumstance of a Dayton or a Columbus team or somebody close by, Cincinnati or whoever, in that play-in situation, that they can go to the other site and avoid the conflict of having a team play essentially a home game in the NCAA tournament.
I can understand
you don't see that too often. But, they've made a great run, and we still got Ohio team in there with Xavier. And
Xavier, baby, yes.
And as you say, the Big Ten represented with Wisconsin and Michigan State. But to see Iowa go out, see Ohio State go out, see Maryland all go out all in one day was a little tough to take. But you like to see the Big Ten represent a little bit better than that.
I'll tell you what, I thought Valpo was going to pull off. That was one of my big upsets, man, was Valpo over Maryland in the first round. And I thought Alec Peters and those guys were going to do it for a second there, man.
Well, I got to say there that, no one, everyone's bored with everyone else's bracket, but let's just say I had the worst year in picking games that I've had in many, many years.
How many Sweet 16 did you get? How many did you get?
Nothing more.
50?
Nothing more needs to be said about mine.
Oh, you didn't even get 50% of the Sweet 16?
The worst ever. I don't even know because I haven't looked at my bracket since Thursday. That's how bad it went for me.
Hey,
on
look,
Thursday.
I'm middle of the road, and right now I'm playing for scraps and salvaging as many points as I can. I've got 9 out of the 16, so I only went 9-7 through the first 2 rounds. I got 9 Sweet 16 teams right. Like I said, I think my son and the cat could have pointed at random spots on the board and maybe got 9 out of 16. But I've got 5 of my Elite 8 are still alive, 2 of my Final 4, and my national champion, baby. Come on, Duke Blue Devils, baby. Win this thing for me and at least salvage me. Yeah, I was toasted this year, man.
Yeah, it's tough. And the weird thing is you find yourself with some strange bedfellows, rooting for teams that you're sitting there going, wait a minute, am I rooting for Duke here? Is this real?
Right, I'm rooting for Michigan State. What's going on here, man?
What's going on here? Yeah. So anyway,
you know what though? Did you hear at the beginning of the show? Our Sports Fix Challenge. We may have greatness amongst us through the first weekend.
I heard you say that. That's kudos to whoever that guy is, man. He's
Adam.
Obviously doing something right. He drank his orange juice that morning or something. Whatever he had something I didn't have.
I mean, he nailed 27 out of the 32 first-round matches. That's 27-5. And you got to realize that 2 of the 5 that he lost was I've got his bracket up in front of me now. He got Baylor, obviously, and Iowa State, or UAB there. Both got him in the first round. He went 27-5 in the first round, and then I'm sitting here. This bracket, I don't even know. This looks unblemished. There's no X marks. There's no scratches through any of this, and he got 14 of the 16 Sweet 16 guys right. He is number 691 in the entire 11.75 million people that filled this out. Now, looking ahead, since he's done so well, he's got Kentucky and Notre Dame here in Cleveland, which is the matchup you were talking about as well. So he's got Kentucky winning the whole thing, by the way. His Final 4, Michigan State, Duke. See, I knew I was right over there. And Kentucky and Arizona as his Final 4. So we'll see.
Okay.
But, man, I'm amazed to see a bracket look like this, and it's actually somebody I know who nailed it like this. I got to give him credit, man, because that is not easy to do. Let's see if it holds up through the second weekend of the tournament. When you did your brackets, did you get one in on our deal or no?
No, I did not. I was just a little bit behind the curve there. Did not get in on time.
No worry.
But,
I love to get everybody.
I've got no dollars at risk here. I mean, a $5 pool here or there. So it's not like I've got significant cash at risk with my lousy picks. But pride is on the line, and I picked for my wife. She wanted to get in a pool. I picked her bracket. She comes to me after Friday. She says, we're in last place. I said, yeah, I know. Yeah. And I don't, if you don't mind, I don't want to hear any more about it from here on out.
She's like, you stink. You stink at this, man. Like
you're terrible. Okay, so remember this next year when you ask me to do it again. Flip a coin, and you're doing just as good. Get the dog to make the picks for you.
I used to laugh at work over at the station. I was always the guy that ran the pool, so all these people would come to me and would be talking to me as they hand in their stuff. And I always love how many college basketball experts exist in that week before the tournament starts, before people, because they'll sit down and give you the whole explanation of these schools you never heard, and you're like, man. Did you actually watch them play? No, you don't even know what you're talking about. But I love it, man. And
you can't tell me where Belmont even is. You can't tell me what
something
state
about
it's
North
in.
Dakota State. It's like, wait a minute. Like, only reason that I rode North Dakota State is because they won for me last year, and I said, you know what, I'm going back to the well once too often. But I always love how many college basketball experts there are, and that's why I always say, hey, you want to listen to me talk about football and baseball baseball and stuff that I watch all the time and have a very hands-on knowledge of, that's cool. But to me, the only people I would ever take college basketball bracket talk advice from is somebody whose their job is to watch all them thousands of college basketball games and know what the hell they're talking about, because I don't have the slightest clue. At best, I've watched maybe half of them once. I've watched a handful of them a bunch of times if they play in the Big Ten or whatever, or if they had some national games, and I see their highlights, and I can go on YouTube. But, I mean, that's the best I can do when I cobble these brackets together, and I always laugh at how many experts there are at it.
That's true, and the guys with the real guts, the guys like, Barkley and people like that put their whole bracket out there and say, okay, here it is, national TV, and maybe they're the objects of a little bit of ridicule as the weeks go on, but at least I had the nerve to put it out there for you.
Yeah.
I got to ask you, just changing subject a little bit.
Yes.
I spent a good part of my weekend listening to Hammy and listening to the Tribe, and
baseball.
Where are you? Where are you right now? I mean, I've been getting a little bit concerned the last week or so about the starting pitching. Is it as good as we think it is? And I did see the other day where Mickey Callaway had a little meeting of his pitchers and said, okay, guys, we've been experimenting. Enough of that. Let's start getting people out now. So I was at least encouraged to hear that some of the things that Bauer and the Kluber and these guys have been doing has been, sort of experimenting with some new pitches. And that's a reason that you can give up 4 triples in an inning, for example. And we've just seen Brian Shaw, among other people, getting lit up all spring, and find out that he's been messing around with a new pitch too. So I just, for me, it's crunch time now. It's getting around to it, and like Callaway, I'm ready to see our pitching start getting people out.
And I'll tell you, I'm glad you brought that up, because that article was on my list of things that I was going to talk about when we started talking Tribe, because I said, you know what, I'm with you. You get the first 4 weeks or so, we're working on stuff. We're doing this and that and the other thing, but now you're getting into the home stretch, and now it's time to – and I was glad to see that, because you walk the line when you preach patience, and then there comes a time where you stop making the excuses and you say, okay, that's cool. If we haven't figured it out by today, it goes on the shelf until next spring. Now we're going to focus on the things that we need to do to get guys out at the major league level, And so I'm with you, a little bit of concern, but we'll see how this next week to 10 days goes now that because you can do that once. You can make that speech once, and you can let everybody know, okay, we've decided that we're going to get serious now. So as long as the results begin to creep their way towards what you want to see in the regular season, you're good. Now, if you continue to have issues the next 2 weeks, then I'm with you. Then you start to go, okay, what's going on here? Even though, still, you can't get too worried at the beginning of such a long season either way. But I'm with you as far as, all right, let's buckle down Trevor Bauer. Let's start all these guys, not just him, but he's a big experimentation type guy. Let's start working on the things that are going to get major league guys out.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is a little bit of a setback, apparently, with Jason Kipnis. You hate to see that, and hate to see a guy.
What's the latest you heard on that? Because I know he banged himself
just back
up.
Spasms and spasms, and he's going to be out again today. And who knows whether it's just an abundance of caution or whether
Let me ask you something.
Something a little bit more serious than that. You
I'm
gotta
sorry.
hope that, some kind of thing that therapy will take care of hopefully over time, but yeah, it's tough to see a setback like that for a guy that is coming off an injury, and we're still waiting for the first Switcher sighting. So it's we're hard to see now how Switcher breaks camp with him.
No way.
It just doesn't look realistic, and that'll mean shuffling a whole lot of other things around, mostly right field and DH, etc. So we'll see how that all plays out. But a little bit of concern that things could be going better. Although, on balance, I guess you could say the team's pretty healthy. And that's really all you want to do is go into the season, with everybody in good physical health. And I guess with the exception of Kipnis's back spasms, everybody is good. Swisher hasn't had any setbacks necessarily. It's just they're proceeding very slowly with him, and that makes some sense, even though we'd all like to see him take a few cuts before we break camp.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm with you. I I don't foresee Swisher breaking with the team there either, even though he's just now beginning to work on some stuff to get him caught up again. I know he's running bases and some things like that. And I know one thing I saw that the Indians were a bit disappointed with is it looks like you can take – not that I'm disappointed at all. As a matter of fact, I think publicly the Indians may have said one thing and privately thought another. You can take Nick Swisher completely out of the first base discussion, it appears like, here going forward, because at least unless I misread the quotes that I was hearing, that it just appears that the wear and tear on the legs working over there at first base is not going to be too conducive to Nick Swisher here. So that's pretty much been eliminated as a prospect position for him. Again, I'm not mad because he's the worst first baseman in the league, and I think secretly the Indians aren't mad about that either, but that is now one more restriction that you're going to have with him going forward.
Yeah, that's true. And I was going to ask you if you've seen, I have not, but do you happen to know if Brandon Moss has taken any reps at first base at all this spring, if they've even tried that?
I have no idea.
If not, does Swisher not breaking camp with the team, does that open it up a little bit for possibly a Jesus Aguilar to make this team?
I don't know, to be totally honest with you. I don't know how much first base he's taken at all because, of course, you've got him in the same situation as well with making sure, with the legs and all of that stuff. Although, man, we continue to hear nothing but glowing recommendations and reviews from him health-wise going forward, which is such a good thing here to see. Same with Michael Bourne. When I saw over the weekend, Terry Francona talking about both of those guys, and I'm like, good, because those are two keys. But I'm with you. I don't know about that. Although, as I said, I got no problem keeping Nick Swisher off of first base because, he's toast over there completely. So if we need a doctor to do it, then do it. Hey, we got to follow the doctor's orders. Sorry, man. We wish we could put you over there, bud, but we're just looking out for you. But anyways.
Yeah, and then Jesus Aguilar is not exactly Vic Fowler.
Oh, yeah.
Either.
Oh, yeah.
We got to, he's swinging a hot bat right now, certainly having a good spring. He's right-handed power, which is something that everybody's crying for. And if you're missing your starting DH, certainly he could fill that bill for you from time to time. So maybe this is Aguilar's shot to make the team until Swisher does get healthy, and he's going to swing from the right side, and he's going to give you some pop, and maybe he can even, play a game or two at first base to give Santana a break, maybe DH Santana a game or two.
All right. I think, I'm going to go here with this. While we're talking about guys with the shuffling around back and forth, Moncrief, option down to AAA over the weekend. Eric Gonzalez down to AA. Your boy James Ramsey reassigned over to minor league camp so he can get some more work in along with Nick Morondi. So, couple more moves here on guys as they pare things down. Bruce in the chat room, real quick, before I go anywhere else, Bruce in the chat room wanted to ask you if, while we're talking about the starters, if you're worried about the home runs. That's we were already kind of talking about that there, but does that worry you? Or to me, I draw that line at this weekend. Okay, and Corey Kluber's not the best litmus test because he just happens to be a great pitcher already. But his first start after the meeting from Mickey Callaway, he went to work, and he even said I needed more work afterwards because I wanted to put in a little bit more. But he went out there and pitched much more like it was for real and counting. So you've got to hope that everybody catches on. But I think it's hard to decide whether you're worried about it or not, because like we both said, you don't know how much of that was monkeying around with sinkers that you're not really good with or messing around with your off-speed pitches and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, and I saw that Corey gave up 2 bombs the other day, and I wanted to see him. I went on MLB at bat, and I watched the highlights. I didn't see the first one, but I saw the ball that Yasiel Puig hit out against him. It looked like it was a fastball up and away, not a bad pitch to most people. And Puig just put a good swing on it and hit it over the right center field fence. Yeah, that's just the strongest guy in baseball taking your fastball out the opposite way. It didn't look necessarily like a mistake pitch. It looked like a pitch that Kluber's going to throw to just about anybody. Probably 95-mile-an-hour fastball up and away. In fact, might even have been off the plate outside. Probably wouldn't have been a strike, and Puig hit it out. So that kind of stuff doesn't concern me. And of course, Kluber, who knows what he's working on. I know Bauer's been concentrating on just trying to pound the strike zone, and he's been getting hurt by that by some guys. But he'll. I'm a little bit more concerned about Bauer than I am certainly about Corey Kluber.
Oh, me too.
Especially after seeing the replay of Puig's homer off of him. That was just the strongest guy in the game hit one out.
And I'm not worried about giving up solo home. That's the other thing with Corey Kluber is he's not going to kill you if he does give one up because he doesn't put anybody on base. So, big deal. A couple of solo home runs. He still goes nearly 6 innings, gives up 3 hits, 6 strikeouts, only 1 walk. That's Corey Kluber ball right there. And the most encouraging thing to me, the best part about it, is the way he left the game. He knocked out the last 8 batters in a row on his way out of the game, then went in the bullpen and threw himself another simulated inning or 2 just to keep himself going. And then the bullpen came out there, boom, 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 knocked out the rest of the game. Indians were able to get the win there. But yeah, those couple of solos don't bother me. Bauer, more so. Salazar, the way he's struggling, more so. Those things have me worried and concerned for sure.
Jerry, Salazar's last start was not bad.
Much better. Yes, it was.
5 innings, 1 run, I think.
Yeah,
and I think maybe, in fact, after that game, I kind of said to myself, well, if not Salazar, then whom? In the 5th spot.
McAllister. I got to think it's
McAllister.
McAllister.
If DJ House is in the 4th spot, I'm not sure anybody has shown enough to beat out Danny Salazar. Yeah, Salazar had a little command trouble his first few outings. But he's got maybe 2 more, maybe more spring appearances before we go. And
at least, yeah.
I got to believe right now that if you had to, lock that rotation in right now, he'd be in it.
See me. I think you need more flexibility at the position play. I think that if they break camp, unless obviously we got 2 weeks, like you said, Salazar can change my mind. But I think it's going to be the 4 with House and Bauer, the 4 pitchers, and then McAllister is the once or twice in the first 3 weeks that we need him, 5th starter. Salazar goes down and gets a couple of starts at AAA, and then if he's ready, you bring him up and drop him back in, move McAllister into the bullpen. But I think McAllister, and I was talking to Mike, and I mentioned it with you too, but I like the idea of mixing up those power arms and going Kluber, Carrasco, House, Bauer, McAllister as the 5-man rotation.
Yeah, you're right, and I forgot that we really are in that situation where you want Salazar to be getting regular starts throughout the month of April, and you also you're only going to need a 5th starter a couple of times during that first 3 weeks, and so it makes more sense probably to go with your 4 guys and have a more veteran guy in there to do those spot starts, and meanwhile you're getting Salazar some consistent starts and get him into a rotation where he can get a start every 5 days until May rolls around and the weather warms up a little bit.
But I definitely have some concern, as you said to start this. Gavin Floyd, not having him, not that I thought he was going to come in and win the Cy Young, but not having that veteran arm and that veteran at least, 12-win, 500 type pitcher that I figured he was going to be. That does, give me some concern, because I was hoping, it's one thing to go, okay, we got 5 guys here like Bauer and Salazar and these guys. If one of them turns out to be the bomb, then we're good. Like, we can let the rest develop. But now when you lose Floyd, you move everybody up on that list now, and then all of a sudden now you need 2 of these other guys or 3 of them to work out, and now it feels more like last season as far as heading into the season with a low margin of error. It doesn't mean that the bottom's going to fall off. It just means that it feels a lot like last year. Like, if you have problems to start the season, it may take you a while to get your rotation together.
Yeah, that's true. And we talked about that, and I think Al Troncello, when he was talking to Shapiro, and I know you read that interview.
Yeah, good stuff.
And you've seen some of the prognosticators say, it's a foregone conclusion that the Indians are in a high-risk, high-reward mode. One of the reasons that they went out and signed a Gavin Floyd and Markham and Chen is to bring some age and some veteran experience to that rotation, because you realize how exposed you are. Yeah, you have a chance to have a great young rotation. You also have a chance to have the whole house of cards come falling down. Yes. And so you really are in a high-risk mode, and they tried to get that rotation older and more seasoned, and the Gavin Floyd experiment didn't work out. And you just got to hope that you don't have to fall back onto the subsequent, Bruce Chen experiment or the Sean Markham experiment or the Josh Tomlin experiment, for that matter. you hope that those young starters come through for you. But there's no doubt that it's a high-risk move, and that they were sort of forced into it and sort of willingly grabbed onto it and rode with it, with trying to buy insurance in the off season. But like you say, we're a lot more like last September right now, where every time one of those guys starts, it's not necessarily a confident feeling; it's a little bit more of a question mark feeling.
I'll tell you, I separate Sean Markham out of that group of guys. You got something tells me that fella is going to reemerge, whether it's for the Indians or for somebody else. I got a feeling he gets his career back, and I think that he's going to end up being the standout of that group of guys. But talking about these guys, Bruce in the chat room going back to Bauer, and I got a question. I get the experimentation and that stuff that we're talking about. My wonder, and this is going to sound crazy, but you probably know what I mean more by this, is I think Trevor Bauer throws too many strikes. Trevor Bauer has no walks the entire string. And I'm not saying you're supposed to be walking people, but I don't know. Maybe he's getting hit so much because he doesn't throw enough stuff that the other person doesn't want to swing at. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but to see, you talk the 3 home runs or the 4 triples or whatever, man. And then I just noticed that stat line. I said, man, he's got 15 innings, no walks here, which means, his focus is good, his aim is good, but maybe it's too good. Maybe he's throwing too many hittable pitches, Does that make sense?
Well,
I'm trying to come up with a reason why he's getting served up like that.
It makes sense. It makes sense because what that is, what you're seeing from Bauer this spring is the anti-Trevor Bauer. I mean, obviously, last year and in his major league career to this point, he's had a control problem. He's been too fine. He's tried to shave corners.
Yes.
He's tried to be too perfect. And Mickey Callaway, and I've been reading articles about this. Has tried to convince him that, hey man, the most important pitch is strike one. Pound the zone, and so he's buying in. He's buying into pounding the zone, and he's pounding the zone constantly, and he's not caring if the batters are swinging and hitting it. Because he's trying to get into that groove of pound the strike zone. I'm sure that when they go back to, real live games, that he's gonna, I'm sure he'll probably be looking to drop a breaking ball over on strike one and continue to pound the strike zone. But the fact that he's buying into the idea that throwing strikes is hugely important and getting ahead of hitters is hugely important is a good thing, not a bad thing for Trevor Bauer. And that's because he's being receptive to the coaching that he's getting, and he's starting to believe that, I need to pound the zone. I'm sure he's not going to be throwing, 95-mile-an-hour fat fastballs down the middle to big league hitters when the regular season rolls around.
Exactly. Thank you, because that was kind of what I was talking about there, man. That's I'm all for it, and it does show. Even though it's a bad thing, if you listen to the way Dan just explained it, it does show what you wanted. We talked all offseason about wanting to see him be more receptive to coaching and to what Mickey Callaway was trying to do. And that goes back to how we started it. Let's see how the next 2 weeks, now that they're on notice, hey, okay, everybody, let's start getting into regular season mode. Let's cut back on that a little bit, and let's start getting this thing ready to go. So now we'll see, as that focus changes. But I'm with you, too, because you're obviously going to, go hard in that area and then back off of it. So, and it makes a ton of sense when guys are nailing it left and right. I mean, that would be how, So we'll see. And he's such a cerebral pitcher that part of me, and I maybe this sounds homerish, but part of me sees him because he's so into his own, how his stuff works and all of that, and he's really in tune with himself, is, you hope it's almost a trial and error process. He continues to make those mental notes. Okay, they are too high on this one. This one they're killing me when I'm throwing it here. So he knows where he can go in the strike zone and not get beat up as well. So I don't know. Hoping it's all experimentation. It's the only thing you can tell yourself, because otherwise you will have to worry. But let's see, like you said, if he gets back to monkeying around, throwing in some breaking pitches, all the stuff that you do when you're trying to win games for real. Talking to some other things real quick, wrapping it up. Indians, Yanni Gomes. I think offensively, I'm feeling a lot better about the start of the season with him here this year, man. He seems like he's in such a better place, and I know that contract had a lot to do with it at the start of last season. That's a lot to go from being a walk-on guy to being a millionaire overnight, and I think that was wanting to live up to that contract was a big part of his problem. But offensively, behind the plate, we've seen him really zeroed in this spring. How you feeling about Yanni Gomes?
Oh, I love Yanni Gomes, and just thinking the other day, and people were starting to talk a little bit about now how the big league lineup looks day to day, and we've got to look at Detroit and see, Cabrera, Martinez, and Cespedes as a pretty brutal, middle order.
That's a law firm there, Dan. That's
lineup.
a law firm right there.
However, I think teams are going to start looking at Brantley, Santana, Moss, and Gomes in much the same way as a foursome in the middle of the order, 3, 4, 5, 6, that can just beat you up. And I think we'll see. I think we're going to come to like that middle of the order for the Cleveland Indians team a whole heck of a lot before it's all over. Especially with the speed you've got at the top of the order with Bourne and either Ramirez or Lindor or whomever, and hopefully a Kipnis and Chisenhall hitting at the bottom of the order then. But I think that middle of the lineup of those four guys, Brantley, Santana, Moss, and Gomes, going to scare a lot of teams.
I'm with you there, man. That's a good law firm on their side of it, too, man. You brought up the name I want to ask before we go. Lindor, Francisco. I mean, Mike Brandenberry has been doing the best he can to get me addicted to the drug that is Francisco Lindor before the start of the season. But seriously, I don't see, although you don't want to go crazy with Kipnis, who knows, he's probably just, banged up and he'll get back in here. But do you see any scenario where maybe his status as well plays into some decision for Francisco Lindor to start the season with the big league club?
Well, I was kind of hoping, and I did listen to your piece with Mike the other day, and believe me, I'm buying what he's selling. I think that the team is better. Like he said, if you're concerned about service time and arbitration and all those kinds of business issues, then maybe you wait till June for Francisco Lindor. But if you want to put your best team on the field because you think you have a chance to win the Central Division, then how can you realistically look at the team and say that you're not better with him, playing every day? So I'm game. I'm up for it. Although I got to say, after having read Al's interview with Mark Shapiro over the weekend, so I'm less optimistic that it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's not happening.
All the noises that Shapiro was making were noises that they wanted to go down to AAA and do this or do that and polish this or fine tune that. And so that was slightly discouraging. Took a little bit of the wind out of my sails. But I'm all about Lindor breaking camp of this team because I've loved everything I've seen from him, and I can't wait to let the Lindor era get going.
I'm with you, and I'm with you in both aspects because it's not happening. I got that same impression from Shapiro, and I've had that feeling all along that it would take moving heaven and earth for something to change to make that happen at the start of the season. And I will go back to what I said. I know you don't look, this isn't the favorite way for certain people to look at this, but I'm just saying, if you believe that the Indians are doing all right and that this season's going to be okay at the start, then man, I do believe that there is some tangible value later in the season to bringing him up for all kinds of reasons. And I don't just mean to sell a couple extra tickets, but to bring energy into the fan base in the middle of the summer and into the team. It's like a trade. It's this highly touted guy that everybody's heard about, and the players saw the little glimpses of him here and there. And so you could energize a pennant run in the middle of the season here if the guy is ready to come up. So I do believe that there's a real tangible value to bringing him up later in the season as well. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, except the one thing that occurs to me, Gary, is that if anything, this fan base needs a jolt of energy, and it's in April and May.
That's true. That's true.
I'm
with you.
So if he's going to bring that energy boost, let's bring it when we need it, which is when the snowflakes are falling in April in Cleveland.
Yeah, you know what? You just hit me on one other thing, and you and I can talk about this. Let's talk about this a little more on Wednesday. But the PD editorial, and I'm with it because I've had many fans talk to me about similar things before. But the unhappiness by a lot of people, we talked about the 11-minute home opener sellout for the Indians and how quickly they did it. But, the PD editorial over the weekend had quotes from fans that were apparently locked out from being able to buy tickets, just random fans that went online when they were told to do it, that were unable to buy tickets. And at the exact same time that the Indians were telling them there were no tickets, there were tens of thousands of tickets available on the secondary market through jacked up ticket prices. And, I have an issue with that, because it's one thing if I understand how the secondary ticket market works, but I do believe that the Indians, and there's other big sale events that figure out ways. It's not the easiest, but you have to figure out ways to do your tickets in a way that like what the Cavs did, doing the broken up lotteries to buy tickets throughout the season. You can still beat the system if you're a broker, but it's much harder to do it. But that really does suck, because there's only one game of the season that the Indians are guaranteed that every fan wants to go to. And I thought that was kind of it pointed out a hole in the system that the Indians should probably go about addressing. It sounds great to say we sold out our tickets in 10 minutes, but if 50% of them were sold to people that are just going to double the price and then resell them to your fans, then I think A, the Indians get beat out on that, and B, the fan base does too.
Well, yeah, and you can fault the organization for hyping the open more than that game 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Absolutely. Yes.
And if there were more, I don't know. I also have to believe that many of those tickets that are on the secondary market. Now, I've had my opening day tickets. I didn't have to buy them when they went on sale that day. I've had my opening day seats for several weeks now because I'm part of a season ticket package. So I got to believe that many of those seats that were on the secondary market were from season ticket holders, as opposed to people who bought them for one game only and then turned around and put them on StubHub or something. I got to believe that it's the people that had them and thought about it and said, hey, there's a great market for opening day tickets. Let me go ahead and move these rather than go to the game, because I'm a season ticket holder and I'm going to go to game 4, 14, 24, 37, and whatever.
Right.
So who knows exactly who those people are? I guess the team could probably tell by just determining what tickets they in fact are, and find out if they're assigned to a season ticket holder or not.
Well, but Dan, you're talking about a different phenomenon. No, this was actually the on-sale single-game tickets. This has nothing to do with the season ticket holders. This was the on-sale date for the single-game tickets, and what happened was these brokerages went on and bought blocks of tickets by the thousands. That's how they do it when the on-sale tickets go. So immediately, the half of the inventory that is bought by brokerage firms and not by individual. Bobby D straight up said over the weekend, Bob DiBiasio said, we know something went wrong this year with the secondary market and how they got a hold of all of our tickets, but they're going to work on it. And that's what they got to do. You just have to find a way around whether it's limiting how many individual tickets a person can buy. So if a brokerage firm wants to do it, they have to buy 200 groups of 5 instead of one group of 1,000 tickets or whatever. So and that's a loophole that these companies use, but it does suck because the same fans are going to buy the ticket. They're just going to pay an extra $20 more a ticket to get it from the other guy who bought up the whole block instead of the way it was supposed to be done. I mean, it sucks. It's nothing that the Indians did wrong at all. And I love the fact that they caught it right away and said, hey, we don't know how that happened, but we'll figure it out. We're going to try to find a way to get out of it. But it's not the same as what you're talking about. This was actually in the single-game tickets. Brokerage firms just went in and bought up literally like half of these tickets.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And, you're right. I suppose by limiting it, to 4 tickets per order or some kind of a thing like that, you could cut down on that. I'm not sure how their whole system works in terms of getting in the queue at 9 o'clock in that morning or whatever it is to get in line to buy them.
It's because they did it online this year. See, last year they did it where you said you had to stand in line. They had wristbands, and that meant you had to come physically, buy the tickets, and all of that. This year they did it online, and that was a big
well, I'm sure. Well, that was what I was meaning. Basically you're in an online queue as opposed to a physical queue, but still, you should be able to limit that and like you say, do something to to prevent people from buying up large blocks of them that are just purely speculators.
Now, Dan, I'm going to end it with this. And you kind of set me up for this and something that you just said. Think about this. It's something that I came up with over the week. You know how we always talk about Indians tickets and ways and things to help and how we can draw more, and everybody's always saying, I got to try to come up with something. This story and this thing led me to what I'm about to say. And you kind of hit it on the head when you said, well, what about game 2, 3, 4, 5? I know this sounds nuts, but you know how hot of a ticket opening day is, right?
Right.
Okay, it's always an instant sellout. Always. I mean, like we said, 11 minutes, boom, Indian sellout. 22 of them in a row, sellouts. Bam, opening day. So we know how valuable opening day tickets are to the Indians fans. And as you said, you'd much rather see them buy that much interest in game 2, 3, 4, or 5. Well, what if the Indians took 1/3 of their opening day tickets? Let's say the 32,000 or whatever the new capacity of the stadium is. Let's say you took 11,000 of those and you pulled them out of circulation for sale. And what if you made ticket packages where you buy a 10-game package for not promotional days, not for special games, for 10 games of the season that are the hardest ones to draw, the Twins on a Wednesday night and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And you have a couple good ones in there, and you have a couple really hard ones in there. And if you buy that 10-game package, you receive an opening day ticket as part of that package for free. And you use 10,000 of your opening day tickets to convince people to buy these 10-game packages of games that nobody goes to during the regular season. And yes, you lose a few $100,000 on opening day that you more than recoup in selling these Wednesday night Twins ticket packages or whatever the package is. It's more than a recoup for the Indians financially, and it allows you to use the one true premium item that you have to get people to buy your rank and file tickets. I honestly never thought of it before, and I was saving it for talking to you today for this right here. But what about a proposal like that? Do you see I think it could work because there's a true incentive to buy that 10-game ticket plan. I get a free opening day ticket as part of my package.
Well, take it one step further, Jerry, and I think it's a great idea. Take it one game further and don't make it a free opening game ticket. Just make it part of the package.
You have to buy a package to buy opening day.
Yeah,
there you go.
Pay for all 10 games and included is your opening day ticket. You don't have to make it free.
There are no single game tickets.
Charge your regular price for it, but you at least get it. You have access to it, and then only through that package. Yeah, I think it's an outstanding idea. So you don't even need to take a loss because they're going to gladly pay for that ticket. But yeah, you get them to come to 9 more ball games, or maybe make it 10 more ball games, however you want to do it. And obviously to do that times 10,000, times 10, 100,000 more individual, 100,000 more increase.
That's an extra million tickets. An extra million tickets a season that you sold if you do that right there.
It's actually 100,000, wouldn't it be? If you had 10,000 tickets times 10 games, add one more zero.
I got you. You're right. 100,000. Okay,
so
I'll take an extra 100,000. I don't know how I got it.
But still, that's 100,000 you can use. Takes you from 900,000 up over a million, or a million to a million. But that's just
those 100,000. That's not counting the 2 or 3 people that are going to go with them to the games and all of that other stuff that go with that as well. So you've got it.
Yeah, exactly.
What if you just completely eliminated single game tickets for opening day, and that was the one game of the season that you could only get when you had either a full or partial season ticket package? Then you maximize the value over your one premium ticket.
Yeah, and when you think about it, they've got almost 40,000, something like 38 is their new capacity, I think. You've only got 9 or 10,000 season ticket holders, so you've got 30,000 seats, almost 25 to 30. Left to still sell for individual game tickets. Take 10,000 of those. You still have 15,000 you can sell for single game, and you've got 10,000 that you can wrap up in these extra packages and get an extra 10 games out of people. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I'm sure that it's something that maybe the club has thought about, but it's sure a question that should be asked of the ticket sales people and of Bobby D or of Shapiro or someone to float that idea and say, have you thought about doing it? And if you, if you've thought against it, why? What's the downside of it for you guys?
I got it. Bruce, do me a favor. Call our boy. Call Bobby D. Call Curtis. Let's get a meeting together. I'm coming down to the TP. I'm gonna sit down and we're gonna talk about this here because I think we may have an idea. This one may be a winner here, man. We may be onto something here, man. And that would be, you know what, too? Hey, sometimes you got to do a cutting edge solution to a problem that nobody knows how to solve, and that would definitely be a cutting edge solution there, man. But when
I'm sure just like you always have, you're going to have people that aren't happy about it. You have people that they call up, I wanted that game, I didn't want.
We're not happy that they don't go to the games, Dan.
There'll be people crying about it, but you got to give up on pleasing everybody at some point.
I don't care. You and I cry every Monday or every Tuesday when the Monday night game drew 9,000 people, and we cry every Thursday when the Wednesday night game drew 7,000 people. So I don't care. Everybody's unhappy about something, but I'd rather we all be unhappy with 35,000 people at Progressive Field. Let's
here's a hat tip to you for coming up with an idea. That's it sounds like a good plan. And again, it's probably something they've thought about and rejected for one reason or another, but doesn't mean it's a bad idea.
I'm telling you, it's easy to say, here's what's wrong. I'm that guy. I always tell people, don't tell me what's wrong. Tell me how to fix it. If you've got a solution, I am all for listening to it, because it's easy to go, hey, you know what's wrong? No, it's easy. It's a lot harder to go, man, I was really thinking about this, and here's something, because odds are the people fixing that problem, they've thought of a few ways to fix it too. They don't just stand there and go, boy, we don't know how to get people to come out to the ballpark. But that's one that maybe I'm going to talk to some people about that. Dan, my man, couple of days here, Wednesday, you and I will look ahead at the Sweet 16. We'll talk all kinds of stuff. Buckeyes, Indians. Let's see if the next couple of starts here for these guys start to get a little more into opening day mode. And then the Cavs are getting back in action Wednesday, so we'll have no shortage of stuff to get into.
Absolutely, yeah. And just one quick shout-out to Ohio State Wrestling. Won the national title over the weekend. That was a great thing. Logan Sieber won his fourth straight, only the fourth wrestler ever in college to win 4 straight national titles, and the Buckeyes won their first ever team national championship in wrestling. So hats off to them, and just wanted to give a shout out to those guys. It was great television. I was watching the semis and the finals on ESPN, and Saturday night ESPN was leading SportsCenter with Logan Sieber and the national champion Ohio State Buckeye wrestling team. So that was pretty cool.
They sure did. OH. And actually, I'm a pro wrestling guy. Stieber, Gerald Briscoe. There's a couple of guys that scout very heavily in the NCAAs, and that's a guy that you may actually see him on your television set one day in the future, because that's somebody that they are interested in seeing if he may be interested in continuing his wrestling career in a bit different capacity in his future, much like guys like Brock Lesnar and Shelton Benjamin and some of those guys.
Right, yeah. Well, I think they'll have to wait till the next Olympics are over, because he was going to want to win a gold for the United States. But, maybe that's somewhere down the line for him. Well, hey, I'll let you get going, Jerry. I appreciate it, and good to be on with you.
Super long conversation today, Dan. Thanks for hanging out with us.
No problem. Talk to you soon.
You got it. Dan Wismar, great talk, great show. Man, wow. That was a long one. Let's take our final break of the day. Catch my breath. Catch your breath. Let's come back and wrap this bad boy up. The Vikings, their march to madness continues. Okay. So it's not the big dance, but it's the mediocre dance. It's the college insider tournament. It's Vikings hoops, and I don't care. They go back at it tonight with the New Jersey Institute of Technology. I'll preview that one. Talk about the Monsters. New odds out for the remainder of the NCAA tournament. People still think that the Kentucky Wildcats are going to do it. We'll talk about that, wrap it up, and more. We'll be back with the Sports Fix. Final segment coming up next.
Yo, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. Don't tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. Don't tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I wanna really, really, really want it.
Listen to the Sports Fix
if you wanna be my lover.
Hey guys, before we go to the break, I want to talk to you a little bit again about our good friends at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, some of the hottest fights in the world today. Each and every one of their huge events, Harry Buffalo is one of the few places in Northeast Ohio you can go there and watch each and every UFC fight at the Harry Buffalo. And let me tell you, I've been there. The people are out the door. They are to the rafters. It is one of the craziest environments for some UFC fights. Wing Mondays, they've got great deals on wings and drinks, and every day of the week there's a different special, a different deal. And don't forget the Bison Burger, the unbelievable. It is the combination of a fantastic burger and eating healthy combined into one unbelievable sandwich. You have got to get a Bison Burger while you're there. So whatever you're looking for, whatever day of the week, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sundays, there's something for you at the Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Check them out today. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Visit fantasyjocks.com, your fantasy sports superstore. Championship belts, rings, trophies, and more. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious!
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's fantasy sports superstore, fantasyjocks.com.
What's your fantasy?
The Sports Fix is now available every day on the world's largest internet radio service, iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeartRadio app, subscribe to the show, and get your fix.
I'm Pro Football Hall of Famer Paul Warfield. There's just one place where students are students first and athletics are played with purpose and perspective. That place is your local high school. High school sports help young people become confident leaders and role models and use the skills developed today to do even bigger things in life tomorrow. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
In baseball, miracles can happen when a team works together.
2 out, bottom of the ninth, down to their last strike.
The same is true in the fight against cancer. That's why MLB has teamed up with Stand Up to Cancer. Because we believe that when we all stand up together,
41,000 on their feet,
we can make cancer history.
Now everybody's standing. What a buzz in this building.
This is beyond a dream. Stand up with MLB at standuptocancer.org.
Hey, Cleveland, this is Ed Doherty, voice of St. Ignatius Wildcat Football, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
This is the Sports Fix. What is your name?
I'm the dude. So that's what you call me, you know? That or his dudeness or duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
Dude, what do you want?
Well, it's this rug I have. It really tied the room together.
We are not a show to be swept under the rug. We are a show to be heard.
It's the Sports Fix.
Rolling.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix as we wrap things up here today. J-Rocc back with you. What a great show. My Dan Wismar, he was here for a week and a half, man. What a great conversation, man. Talking about all kinds of things. And he'll be back with us on Wednesday for those of you guys who like the melodic towns of Wismar. He's here on Wednesday. Always a great time, guys. Thanks to Betty for the call, you guys for the conversation throughout the day. Don't forget, 24 hours a day. Keep it going all night long on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at thesportsfixCLE, and you can call us 24 hours a day. 216-539-7535. Leave your take and we'll play it tomorrow. 216-539-7535 is the number to call as we get ready, looking ahead to tomorrow. Actually, you got to get through some things tonight first. You've got the Cleveland State Vikings. Talking about March Madness, don't leave the Vikings out. They have their second round matchup in the collegeinsider.com tournament as the Cleveland State Vikings 19-14 tonight. They travel on the road to take on the New Jersey Institute of Technology. New Jersey Institute of Technology 19-11 on the season. Vikings looking for a 20-win season. If they win here tonight, it would be their 11th 20-win season in franchise history or university history, and it would be their 6th 20-win season in the last 8 years, all in the Coach Waters era, which just speaks to how awesome Coach Waters is. Vikings got their first postseason win in 5 years the other day in the first round of the tournament, and we'll see if they can continue that here today. It's the first time ever meeting between CSU and the New Jersey Institute of Technology. As I mentioned the other day, Vikings have played 4 first-time opponents this year. They've beaten them all the first time they played them, so maybe that's the story of things. Vikes are 7-9 all-time in postseason play heading into tonight's game. Let's see what the Vikings can do, and of course each round of this tournament is reseeded as the teams go along, so if the Vikings are successful, and we'll find out tomorrow if they are, then we'll see after all of the games are complete, they'll reseed the next round of the tournament before we know, instead of a traditional bracketed tournament where you automatically know if they win and they win, they'll play each other. Here they redo the brackets and reseed them after the tournament goes. So, or after the each round of the tournament goes. So we'll see what happens. Of course, to get to that point, you got to go out there and win tonight. We've seen such a great season from Anton Grady the other day against Western Michigan, first round of the tournament. He had his 10th double-double of the season, 21 points, career high 14 boards, career high 6 assists. He's got 20 career double-doubles, 10 of them this season. That's 50th in the entire country, second in the Horizon League here for Anton Grady. Trey Lewis has been killing guys from 3 all season long. Charlie Lee has had an incredible run here through the postseason as you look at what he did. 8 3-pointers the other day, tying a school record there as well. Like I said, Trey Lewis, Charlie Lee, they have all played a big part in this. Does the season end tonight for Coach Waters and his crew, or can they make it to the third round of the CIT? We'll find out. Monsters looking to keep their season going as they're in the final 10-game run here, 14-game run, depending on all the teams have different games in hand. But Monsters, even though they lost one and won one over the weekend, it was a big win over the conference leading Grand Rapids Griffeys. But even the loss grabbed them some points. The Monsters have been able to snag points in their last 3 games. They lost 2-1 the other day in overtime. Andrew Agazzino had the only goal for the Monsters, but the overtime loss allowed the Monsters to grab a point and take it out of Toronto. They followed that up with an upset as they knocked out Grand Rapids 4-3 yesterday at the Q. Huge crowd, Saturday night. Nearly 13,000 of you guys out there. Sammy Idacalio had a big stop at the end of the game. Agazzino, 8-game point streak going for him. Had an assist in the first period. It's not a quarter when they only play 3. And the Monsters, as I said, points in 3 straight games with the win. They've now closed. They're in breathing room of the playoffs now. Monsters, they may sit in 12th place in the conference, but they're only 4 points back of the final playoff spot. You've got Adirondack and Hamilton with 70 points. They're 8th and 9th. They're tied for the final spot. Lake Erie sits with 66 points. And they also, that win over Grand Rapids, knocked the Griffeys off of the first place in the conference, as they now are a point behind Utica after that loss to the Monsters. So much needed couple of victories there for the Lake Erie Monsters. Not just victories, but points, because they lost the shootout game the other day. But big stuff there as they now have a day off. We'll get Doug Plagans in tomorrow, and we'll look ahead to the Monsters on the road. Of course, the Q is a little bit preoccupied this week. They head to Rockford, 8 o'clock Wednesday night. We'll look ahead to that one, but the Monsters able to chip away, get themselves some points here. And as I said, for the Monsters, by the way, it's 14 games remaining. So they're 4 points back. We'll talk to Doug Plagans, catch up on all the Lake Erie Monsters action coming up here tomorrow on the Sports Fix. And let's see, something else I wanted to get into here. Odds for the tournament. And talking about reseeding things, there's 16 teams left, and they reseeded the odds for the tournament here. The longest odds of the Sweet 16 is UCLA at a 100-1 clip, followed by Xavier and West Virginia. They're 75-1 odds to win this thing in Vegas. Obviously, Kentucky leading the pack, even money. They were 11-10 favorites at the start of the tournament. They've moved themselves up to even money, meaning that you bet $1 to win $1, whereas you had to bet 11 to win 10 at the start of the tournament. Arizona right underneath them, 5-1. Duke given 6-1 odds, and the only other single-digit odds, Wisconsin, 7-1 odds to win the tournament. So we'll see how this works out. Of course, Kentucky's march to history comes right through Cleveland as the tournament continues here. Should be a couple of great games coming. And, looking at, by the way, the other day, who was it? Somebody was mentioning the ridiculous percentage of the income of all of the NCAA that comes from this very tournament right here. Just a small sample of that. I saw something this getting ready for the show here this morning about how much money just the ACC teams are putting in their coffers off of this. Of course, the ACC, 11-1 in the tournament. Just that loss to Virginia to Michigan State prevented them from going 12-0 through the opening weekend and having 6 teams in the Sweet 16. Thanks to Michigan State, only 5 ACC teams, but still 5 conference teams in the Sweet 16. Notre Dame, Louisville, NC State, North Carolina, and Duke. Those teams are going to make more than $28 million in performance bonuses from the NCAA because of that. The NCAA organization pays the individual conferences based on how their teams do. Basically every team win is a bonus for your school of about $261,000. So do the math. 11 wins so far. It's over $28 million and counting. That goes back to the tournament, to the conference. The only games that don't count is the national title game. So every game through the Final Four counts towards that total. And I do believe it's the record, or they're closing in on the record. The record for the most number of payouts by the NCAA was 24 units, as they're called. As I said, each unit is $260,000 here for the squad. The Big East had the most back in 2009 when they had 5 teams also make it to the Sweet 16. 4 made it to the Elite 8, and 2 made it to the Final Four. The ACC, depending on how the brackets break down, can top that and have the best financial conference bonus run of any team ever, of any school ever here in the tournament. They have the ability to earn between $30 and $40 million. And if they win every remaining game that they can win, they'll surpass $40 million just in a conference bonus paid by the NCAA to the ACC. Not even to the individual schools, to the conference as a whole. Tell me that there's not too much money everywhere in this world. And I'm all about free market, free enterprise, all of that stuff. I definitely don't begrudge anybody the right to make money. But man, tell me that our world is not completely out of whack financially, man. But it is what it is. ACC is going to benefit at the box office for what they've done on the court here this season. All right, guys, we're going to call it a day. Come back here to, by the way, shout out to David Brown from Akron. He hit me up on LinkedIn of all places and told me he listens to the show every day. First time reaching out to us, David. Good to hear from you, and thanks for enjoying the show and getting your fix, and be back here tomorrow like everybody else, baby. Same bat time, same bat channel, live at noon right here across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Jeff Gorman from Indians101.com will be here. We'll talk about some Indian spring training, closing in on opening day. Dr. Football, Bill Checkus in the house. Doug Plakins of the Lake Erie Monsters, all scheduled to be here tomorrow. And you can't do it without you, baby. So be here tomorrow noon, and we'll see you then right here on the Sports Fix. Have some fun tonight. We love you, Cleveland. We'll see you tomorrow here on the Fix.
Put your hands up in the air, everybody say yeah, yeah. Yeah.